sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
For coverage of all things San Diego State Aztecs,
we want to hang a banner. We're seeing everybody's best effort. We can't get caught up on, well, here's what they've done all year. It's what they're doing against us that night that concerns me.
Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at 97.3 The Fan. KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Joe Musgrove.
Joe does it himself. 1-4-3, and that's all for the Giants.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan and Odyssey Sports Station. San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? Flipping it quick here in the second hour, usually, of our show. But the first hour today, as we always have the roundtable on Thursdays. It was great talking with the whole group as the Padres continue to have the best record in Major League Baseball. I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning in to the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres with a victory yesterday and a great victory yesterday against the Chicago Cubs, able to continue their winning ways and are now 15-4 in their first 19 games of the season. That's pretty remarkable, and it's pretty impressive. And to be honest with you, it was very unexpected for the San Diego Padres to have such a record at this beginning part of the season. And that's how we started off our roundtable about an hour ago with Ben Higgins leading the way. And it really got to the point where, even when I showed up today and I was waiting in the sound space before the game started or before the roundtable started, what have you. You look at, or I was talking with Chris Ello, and what we were discussing, I had to bring up, it's almost harder to talk about the Padres when they do so well. I mean, everything's good. There's not a lot of things to complain about. There's not a lot to poke holes in. They're playing good baseball. They're getting contributions from relatively everybody. And anytime you want to, there are a couple flaws here and there, but no team's going to be perfect. And every time you try to think of maybe a flaw, you get the same result. I mean, the same answer every time. Hey, look, man, 50-4. There's nothing really to complain about. They're getting good starting pitching to start the season. That's always a big thing for Major League Baseball teams. You need to have good starting pitching. They got more starting pitching yesterday that was solid out of Nick Pivetta. You look at the rotation, and as mentioned earlier on the roundtable, your weakest link right now is Dylan Cease, and that's really not that big of a problem. As Ben Higgins mentioned, and I totally agree with it, with the amount of swing and miss stuff that Dylan Cease has, he's not going to be bad for very long. He's not going to be in a deep stretch of just not great starts. Even bounced back in his last start after the one against the A's in Sacramento. So your starting pitching is beyond solid. Your bullpen's in a position right now with their 1.50 ERA, or whatever stupid number it is because of how good they are. Your bullpen, if you can get to the sixth inning, the game is over. The game is over for what the Padres can do with their bullpen. I mean, they're not going to be perfect, but it just feels like as soon as you get to the sixth inning, Padres bullpen is going to shut things down, and you're going to be in a position to win. You get your starter to go 5 innings, ball game's over for the San Diego Padres. Something else you don't need to complain about. We don't need to complain about it. You look at the offense, and the top half of the order is doing well. They're scoring runs. I mean, you look at the numbers that they have at home compared to numbers they have on the road. I mean, they have made Petco Park definitely a home field advantage. But the team's playing really well. I mean, if you want to point out little things, right? And I mentioned the other day, you got to give Tyler Wade some props. Tyler Wade is pressed into action because of multiple injuries in center field. He's got to play center field. First day wasn't that great. Did well defensively, but offensively, his at-bats were not strong. And then yesterday, big contributing factor to why the Padres won. Big contributing factor why the Padres won. He's not a center fielder. He's a shortstop trying to help out the team in any way possible. He's filled the void a little bit in center. Had the miscommunication yesterday with Iglesias and having to battle the sun. Not overly worried about that. But he goes out there and gets a couple of knocks, walks, gets on base. Really nothing to complain about. Now, the bottom of the order is not great. I guess the catching situation is less than ideal. But even with the catching situation, again, we discussed this on the roundtable. We're talking about a position that they think of as defensive first, offensive second, and a position for the Padres that they said specifically for Maldonado, we could stomach him hitting 200. They're both hitting above 200, him and Elias Diaz. They're doing fine. And it seems like when the Padres need some guys on base and you start a rally, they've been able to get on base. They've improved their walk rate. They've improved walking. They took a lot more walks in this series against the Cubs. It's not like they don't like to walk. It's just that they'd rather hit. And Victor Rodriguez, the hitting coach, said, we're not looking for a walk, but we'll take the walk. And that was a benefit for the Padres yesterday when Fernando took a walk with the bases loaded and got an RBI. He's not swinging out of the zone as much. He has completely lowered that metric for himself. He's having an MVP-type season. There's not a lot to complain about with the San Diego Padres team. And look, they're not going to play at this level or at this clip the rest of the year. That's a hard ask to ask the Padres to win 80% of their games. But they're playing really good baseball. I think, and I mentioned on the round table, I think we've underestimated just how tight-knit of a group they are and just how much success that they can have with the consistency and camaraderie that we've been preaching on this show. And, you look at a couple other things yesterday with the ball game. The TV picked up, and Mark Grant was talking about Ruben Niebla going over mechanics mid-game with Pivetta. He's buying in. I think that's the biggest thing for the Padres, is that they have gotten buy-in from everybody. You're seeing the Padres, and I think they're starting to act a little. I think you're starting to finally see some results from their commitment to starting a culture. It wasn't like building a culture. They needed to start a culture. There was no culture here in San Diego before this ownership group took over. And before AJ Preller started to build a team, but before they started to have the players establish a culture. And I've talked about this multiple times, but I think you're starting to see it. Because what did the Padres want to be as a organization? They wanted to be a consistent winner. And they were like kind of up and down for a couple of those years, right? A winner in 2020. And when I mean consistent winner, I mean making the playoffs. Having a winning record and making the playoffs. People always go like, when I'm saying that they're a winner, like, well, they haven't won a World Series yet. Like, well, that's not what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to win a championship in professional sports. It's very difficult. And it's especially when you outline the playoffs in Major League Baseball. So you're not going to win the World Series every single year. In fact, it's actually an interesting talking point that we're going to get to later on in the show, that Matt Snyder, who joined us yesterday, wrote an article about the 2016 Cubs. I think the Padres organization, and really baseball organizations in general, should learn from the 2016 Cubs. I mentioned this last year right before the trade deadline. Live in the present and play for the present more than playing for the future. There's a lot of interesting nuggets in this article from Matt Snyder that I'm gonna get to later on at 11:30 to discuss about what the Padres can learn from this and what a lot of organizations that are in contending now mode can learn from this. But again, and I'm going to consider making the playoffs a winner. It's because it's hard to do. That's the goal, right? If you want to be a consistent team that is getting an opportunity to win a World Series every year, you need to be in the playoffs all the time. 2020 made the playoffs. 2021, disappointment, disaster. 2022 went to the NLCS. 2023, disappointment, disaster. 2024 went to the playoffs, ultimately lost to the team that won the World Series, who continued to praise you for how good you were and how much of a challenge you were compared to all the other teams, which, thanks, no thanks. We still lost. But they're building off of that. So they're slowly starting to get to that point. And the other thing, too, I think with this Padres organization in general is I don't think we really understood just how bad the Padres were before this new ownership showed up and how much that they had to grow and build and build and build and build and how long of a building process it's going to be. It wasn't a rebuild. It was a build. In order to rebuild, you have to build off something that you had before. They didn't have anything before. I mean, they had some serious dark times in the Padres organization from 2007 through, with the one exception of 2010, but they didn't make the playoffs that year anyway. That was kind of a fluke season for the Padres. But they had to build from somewhere. And it was adding guys like Fernando in a trade. It was signing guys like Will Meyer. It was trading for Will Myers and signing him to an extension. It was signing Eric Hosmer. It was signing Manny Machado. It was then adding more pieces and trades. It was trying to find all the different ways that we could build a core group. This is the group that we want. And then building off of that. And so for the last couple of years, even years they're making the playoffs, they were building. And people would get upset, and then they try to, AJ Preller would throw some players out and move on to the next ones, try to, put the pieces together that fit to establish that culture for the Padres of what it means to be a San Diego Padre. And I think you're starting to see that now. Drafting guys like Jackson Merrill. Signing guys like Leo DeVries in an international signing period, and guys like Ethan Salas. I mean, they keep talking about how good they are on the field, but they also talk about how mature they are, way past their years. Just like a Jackson Merrill. So you're bringing in players like that. You have built your group together in terms of your core audience or your core group of players. And now you're going into the beginning part, I think, of what could be a window of success for San Diego. And that's why, this tight-knit group, that's why you we underestimated just how good they could be. Now, everything could change. I mean, they could come back down to earth a little bit during the season. But as of right now, starting to build a little bit on a culture. So I like where everything's going right now with the Padres. I think that they're, again, building to be a consistent winner. I think they're going to have that with this core group of players. And the adding on the fringes, the guys buy in. They've established that culture where guys will come here and buy into what the Padres have. Before, they would come in and there wouldn't be a culture. There wouldn't be this is how we do things here. This is how we are successful and how we win. Now there is. So now you could bring in a Nick Pivetta. You can add players on the fringes. It's not this kind of cluster of a clubhouse. Everybody's in unison, and they've bought into what the coaches are saying, which I also think is another factor for this success. All the coaches coming back from a year ago. So they're doing all the right things behind the scenes. They're playing good baseball on the field. You got to be excited if you're a Padres fan. I don't think it's World Series or bust right now. I think they got a good chance of continuing this because of the way that they play and finding different ways to win and using the bats in either bunts or being aggressive on the base pass or even using the long ball. I mean, they win in different ways. When you can beat teams in different ways, you wear them down and you're always successful. What do you guys think right now, Padres fans? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I mentioned, it's early in the season. It's April 17th. But if you want to start looking at who you got to compete against, how many games the Padres got against them, where you need to really overemphasize Padre games compared to others, we're going to look at what the Padres need to do here in the next kind of stretch, looking ahead for the Padres in 2025. I know they got a road trip against American League teams, but where's everybody else out in the National League? And when do they come to town? When do the Padres play them next? How many games against them they got? I'll give you all the series that you need to pay attention to when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-858-1199. That's 800-858-1199.
Now at Verizon, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on my plan. And you can get a single line for just $45 a month when you switch and bring your phone. That's our best price ever on unlimited welcome with autopay plus taxes and fees, guaranteed for 3 years. Because at Verizon, we got you. Visit your local San Diego Verizon store today. $20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply.
Need inspiration? Shop Ralph's. For mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings. Plus over $600 in digital coupons each week. And up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Ralph's, you always get big flavors and big savings. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You can save more with our weekly digital deals. Select boxes of Nabisco Ritz crackers are only $1.99 each with your digital coupon. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
Greetings, Earth. I bring you news. Human musical group sensations, Glass Animals, are performing live. Tour of Earth, San Diego. They love you so much. See them live at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, Friday, September 13th, with special guest iDress. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new album is available everywhere July 19th. Part of the Sycuan Casino Resort concert series.
You may have heard about living kidney donations. Maybe you know someone whose future depends on finding a donor. What you don't know is there's a list of 615 San Diegans waiting for a kidney at Sharp Healthcare. 615. Women and men, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, from students to grandparents, each living day to day, waiting for the life-changing call. But kidney donations are easier than you may think. From a friend, a family member, even from a complete stranger, like you. At Sharp, the transplant team is absolutely first class. Adults can donate at any age, and you'll live normally, except for the privilege of forever knowing you saved a life. Learn more at sharp.com/givelife. 615 San Diegans are hoping you will.
The following is attorney advertising. If you or someone in your family was hurt in an accident, don't let big corporations take advantage. At Singleton Schreiber, we fight for what's fair and we make them pay. Call Singleton Schreiber today and we'll make them pay. Call 877-600-6000. That's 877-600-6000. Accidents are hard enough. The last thing you need is some corporation trying to shortchange you. At Singleton Schreiber, we go toe-to-toe with the corporate giants because you deserve better. Medical bills, lost wages, pain, and stress. We know what you're up against, and we fight for every dollar you're owed, every expense, every hardship, every moment of pain. We fight to get what you deserve. Don't wait. The clock is ticking. Call 877-600-6000. That's 877-600-6000. Your fight starts with one call. Call Singleton Schreiber today, and we'll make them pay. Gerald Singleton is responsible for this attorney advertising. 591 Camino de la Reina, Suite 1025, San Diego, California, 92108.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Braden Surprenant Show on 97.3 The Fan. Talking a lot of Padres baseball. Your San Diego Padres are the best team in baseball record-wise. In fact, I think we just got to keep saying that as long as it continues. I mean, it's off to a great start. We're going to have a lot of baseball coverage for you on 97.3 The Fan. It is presented by T-Mobile, all of our baseball coverage. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. We'll talk more Padres baseball in a little bit, obviously. And in the next hour, for the first couple of segments, we're going to have Brett Rypien live in studio. Very interesting career for him. He's now a backup in Minnesota with the Minnesota Vikings. Talk us a little bit about being a backup quarterback in the NFL, how he got to that point. And he's got a lot of takes on a lot of different trending sports topics out there as well. Plus, he follows Padres. Lives in San Diego now. He's Padres. And we'll talk some Padres baseball with Brett Rypien also. He'll be in studio with us coming up in the noon hour. Do you want to get to your phone calls? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres fans got to be excited about the way things are starting off this season. First 19 games of the season, you're 15-4. Not a lot more you can ask for. Let's get out to Mike in Temecula, who called in first. Mike, what's going on, man? How's your Thursday going? Getting ready for a Easter weekend.
That's about it. Hey, I wanted to talk about yesterday's game. We were there. We were all by Tatis in right field, and I want to know. I listened to the roundtable, which is very good. I wish you guys kind of had that more often, but I know it is what it is. But my question is, I'm really surprised that we didn't get a switch hitter for the lefty problem, and but going forward is, I know we got Jason Hayward, he's a veteran and all that stuff, and we got I'm glad to see T Wade back, but we were sitting next to Tatis, like we said, and Oscar, is it Gomez?
Oscar Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. I hope to goodness that the Padres keep him in. The kid has a lot of talent. Yeah, he didn't go 3 for 3 or 3 for 4, but his at-bats were pretty solid. What made us kind of sit back in our seats and say, oh my, is when they hit that ball in the deep corner, he threw a frozen rope chest high to Manny. And we were all muttering oh my, this kid has a cannon. What do you think? Do you think that they're going to keep him on the roster, or is he more of a wait till Merrill gets back and then maybe he gets demoted again?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I think all of these players that are currently up right now, Oscar Gonzalez, Connor Joe, Tyler Wade, the players that have filled in for injuries, I think they're really on a tryout and trying to play their way to a position where they stay on the team. So I think that's probably the case for Gonzalez. It's probably the case for Connor Joe. It's definitely the case for Tyler Wade. And whether or not, the Padres decide to put those players back in AAA, or, there might be some players that were already on the Major League club that they decide to part ways with, like a Yuli Gurriel, when a Jackson Merrill comes back or something like that. So I think it's an interesting question. I think right now they're all relatively on a tryout. Oscar Gonzalez right now is hitting 286, doing a good job filling in. Spent 2 years in Cleveland. He's a 27-year-old outfielder, and let's see what he's got, I guess, in the next couple of games or so. And I don't know. I don't know if he's a long-term play for the Padres. I would imagine all three of the players that they had pulled up, I think one of them's trying to fight for a spot to stay on the team when they decide to part ways with Yuli Gurriel, which we don't have any other information on either. We do have some updates on injuries and everything like that, which we'll get to in a little bit, but do want to get back to your phones, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. John in Carlsbad, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, just wanted to call in. First time calling the show. Congratulations on the new show. I think you're doing a fantastic job. But,
thank you, John.
Lifelong Padre fan and love the hot start. However, I'm not trying to sprinkle any negativity in this, but when do you think during the point of the season for their next upcoming schedule, do you think that they're going to potentially come back down to earth?
Well, it's interesting you say that. We were kind of talking about that the other day with another caller. And, it kind of leads me into this next segment anyway. looking ahead for the San Diego Padres. I mean, in terms of teams you have to compete with, and then, where they're at on your schedule. So, right now, and we talked about it on the roundtable, the National League West is the best division in baseball, and I don't really think it's that particularly close. I think going into the season, it was either between them or the National League East. I thought the National League in general was far better than the American League. And so you look at the overall standings, and again, it's going to get even crazier when the Diamondbacks beat the Marlins today. They're already up 6-3. But if you look at the National League standings from top to bottom, the top 4 teams in the NL are all teams in the National League West. Padres are in the first spot, Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, then it's the Mets, then it's the Cubs. You have 4 teams in the same division, the top 4 teams in the National League. And that it even gets better than that when talking from that perspective. The top 4 teams in all of baseball, record-wise, are in the National League West. The best, I'm going to repeat that again because it's insane to consume. The top 4 teams in Major League Baseball, record-wise, are all in the same division. The Padres, the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are 3.5 games out of first place behind the Padres. They're in 4th place in their division. They would be in first place in every other division. Every other division. That's insanity. They would be in first place in every other division, and in the NL West, they're in 4th. I mean, if the Padres didn't get off to such a great start, you could be sitting here going like the Padres are in 4th place. In reality, they should be in first place anywhere else. That's how loaded the division is. So, obviously, you got to worry about the teams in your own division. The Giants, the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks. I think you got to worry about those 3 teams throughout the entire year. Other teams throughout Major League Baseball in the National League, Mets, Cubs, Phillies, Brewers. And I still think the Braves are on the radar, but in reality, I mean, they're just to have them on the list. But aside from those particular teams, those are the 2, 4, 6, 8 teams that you're competing for a playoff spot with, whether it be the division or in the wild card, whatever. When you look at, and I'm going to get to John's question about stretches here in a second, but when you start looking at, those particular teams, you got to compete against the Giants, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Brewers, and the Braves. You've already played the Braves 4 times, and you went 4-0, so you already won the season series against them. That's not really a team that you have to worry too much about. You got the tiebreaker, so you're really hoping the Braves start beating up on everybody else in the National League. You haven't played the Brewers, haven't played the Phillies, haven't played the Mets, haven't played the Diamondbacks, haven't played the Dodgers, and haven't played the Giants yet. And those are all teams that you would like to have a winning record against this season just for tie-breaking purposes. You've already played the Cubs 6 times. You're done playing the Cubs. Don't have to worry about the Cubs anymore. You went 3-3, and you're done. So they're another team that you can hopefully let wreak havoc on the National League. But you look at the Giants, they're a team you got to compete with. You got to play them 13 times. The next time you play them is April 29th. That'll be the first time you play them this year. It'll be a home game. First time you play the Dodgers, who you have to play 13 times, will be in June 9th to the 11th. That's also at Petco Park. The Diamondbacks, you don't play until June 13th when you play them for a 3-game series in Arizona, June 13th to the 15th. You got to play them 13 times total. The Mets, you got to play 6 times. You don't play them until July 28th to the 30th at home. That's the first time you'll play the Mets all year. Phillies, you'll play 6 times this year, 3 times in Philly from June 30th to July 1st. That'll be the first time you play the Phillies. And then when you play the Brewers, you got to play 6 times. The first time you'll play them, June 6th to the 8th in Milwaukee. And then you'll play the Braves one more time, May 23rd for 3 games in Atlanta. So that's just kind of an overall synopsis of teams you have to worry about and when you're going to play those particular teams. Now, in terms of the overall schedule of the gauntlet, this is more of what John was asking about. In terms of maybe coming back down to earth, I think your first big tester in terms of a stretch will be, and this was brought up by a caller earlier this week, June 2nd through really June 22nd. From June 2nd to June 22nd, which is what, 20 days, right? You have one off day. And you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So about 20 games. You're going to play 19 games in 20 days. You're going to play the Giants for a 4-game series on the road, Monday through Thursday of June. June 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, you're in San Francisco. And then you go to Milwaukee for 3 games, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then you host the Dodgers June 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then you have an off day on June 12th at Arizona, June 13th, 14th, and 15th. At Los Angeles, June 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. So you have a 7-game road trip to San Francisco and Milwaukee, a 3-game homestand against the Dodgers, an off day. 3-game road trip to Arizona, followed by a 4-game road trip to LA, and then you got the Royals at home before you play the Nationals at home. That's a lot of games in a row with not a lot of off days against really good competition. I mentioned the teams that you're going to have to compete with this season. A lot of them in your division, and that is the murderer's row that you have to go through first, and it really starts June 2nd. Before then, you got games in May. I mean, there'll be a couple in there that are against good teams. Like you do have to go to the Bronx May 5th to the 7th. You have to go to Toronto in the middle of a week, May 20th to the 22nd. You got to go down to Atlanta, and who knows what they're going to be like by the time Memorial Day weekend rolls around, May 23rd to the 25th. But aside from that, you're playing the Angels, even though they're off to a good start. The Mariners are okay. You got the Rockies on the road. You got the Pirates on the road. You got the Pirates at home, Miami at home. I mean, it's a lot of games that you could potentially win in the month of May, and June is where it really starts to heat up for the Padres. June 2nd through the 5th against the Giants, June 6th through the 8th at the Brewers, June 9th to the 11th against the Dodgers at home. And then you got another road trip to Arizona and LA, 7 games in a row at Arizona for 3, June 13th, 14th, and 15th, Friday the 13th. And then 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th against the Dodgers. Then you come home against Kansas City, who's got a very talented team as well. So where does it start to get to a point where they might come back down to earth a little bit? That's a tough stretch. June 2nd to the 22nd, I think, is the first big long tester for the San Diego Padres. You'll have another one in August. But want to get back to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll hear from Owen and El Cajon. And what is a couple things the Padres and other contending teams can learn from the 2016 Cubs? Matt Snyder put together a really good article on this, and I think he brings up a lot of good points that need to be discussed. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Quinn and Chris on The Fan.
It's a Padres off day, which means we will have Tony joining us from Houston, and we'll talk about your 15-4 Padres.
Listen to Quinn and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 on 97.3 The Fan.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 619-207-4336. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Secure your seats for the 2025 Padres baseball season. Enjoy an electric experience at Petco Park with can't-miss matchups and the Padres' star-studded roster. Don't miss the incredible giveaways and promotions planned, like discounted drinks on Fridays and family-friendly fun on Sundays.
Madam Machado from foul ground gets you.
There's something for everyone. Visit Padres.com/tickets. That's Padres.com/tickets.
Spring into action at Hyundai of El Cajon. The getaway sales event is on. Lease a new 2025 Hyundai Kona SE for $249 per month with zero security deposit and America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty with Hyundai Assurance. Short drive, big value, total peace of mind. Hyundai of El Cajon and online at HyundaiofElCajon.com.
New 2025 Hyundai Kona SE lease, $229 per month plus tax, $3,995 due at signing, 36 months. See dealer for details.
Energy efficient windows, total roofing protection, and exterior house painting. It's all here at Genesis Home Improvements. Licensed, bonded, and insured. 100% financing, no money down. Save 15% today. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
Car crash? What could your case be worth? Call the Barnes firm now. 1-800-8-million.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary. The basketball playoffs are here on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on the action. The app is so simple to use. Just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROAM. Get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get the $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the brink of a quarterback reboot, we think. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are gone. Now it's down to two bold paths: sign Aaron Rodgers for one last ride or draft their next franchise quarterback. It's a gamble either way. Go all in on a legend chasing one more ring, or bet the future on a rookie in a draft class not many are gaga about. The AFC North isn't waiting. Pittsburgh has to make its move now. I'm Maggie Gray.
Check out 97.3 The Fan's weekly Padres Roundtable every Thursday at 10 a.m. Delivered by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable Pizza. It's pizza royalty.
Surprenant Show on San Diego Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Coming up in the next hour, Brett Rypien, NFL quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, will join me in studio. But we're talking Padres baseball throughout the entire show today. Lots to talk about. Padres are 15-4. Not a lot to complain about when you look at the San Diego Padres this season. I want to get your phone calls. How you feeling this year so far to start the season? I'm sure you're bummed there's no Padre game on a Thursday. Remember, it's Thursday. Padres don't play on Thursdays. They only have 8 Thursday games left. They will not play a Thursday in the month of April. Their next Thursday game will be the second to last week in May. The Thursday leading into Memorial Day weekend will be the only Thursday they play in May. That's your next Thursday game for the Padres. And then you got a week off, and then another Thursday, week off, another Thursday, and then you're running out of Thursdays. So you got to find something else to watch. Most of the baseball will be over today before, you get home from work. Find something else to watch, I guess. in the meantime. I guess you got the Giants and the Phillies at 4:00 today. You throw that on. Nope, that's 1:00. Never mind. Read the time wrong. You have the Angels and the Rangers at 5:05 would be the latest game that you got to watch if you are a diehard baseball fan. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to get back to your phone calls. Plus, we're going to get to this topic about what you can learn from the 2016 Chicago Cubs and some other things, too, with the Padres that I do want to get into. But let's get back to the phones. Owen and El Cajon, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. Owen, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I just wanted to toss a fun trade scenario by you. My idea would be to trade Dylan Cease for Tyler O'Neill on the Baltimore Orioles. Look, I did listen to the roundtable, and I agree that Dylan Cease should be the least of our worries due to his track record, and he's a streaky pitcher. However, I thought the control for Tyler O'Neill would be good, and it would solve our left field problem. And hopefully he would hit better against lefties, and that might solve that problem too. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that trade scenario.
I think every time you talk about trades, you got to talk about who says no, right? I mean, so if you're Baltimore, they've been hesitant to trade for starting pitching in general. And they've been hesitant to trade for pitching and trade any of their players that they have long-term for pitching. And so with them already being hesitant to trade for pitching, to trade for a rental in Dylan Cease, I think would be very interesting for the Orioles. Obviously, right now with his numbers, they're not going to be overly excited about that, but I understand where you're coming from with a fit for a fit. This year, Tyler O'Neill's got a 0.6 WAR to start the year, the 265 average and 829 OPS, 146 OPS plus, already 2 home runs at age 30 season. So I guess you improve a spot. I don't think the Padres right now, though, are in a position to trade away starting pitching, regardless of what the starting pitching is. I think it's an asset for the Padres right now, but I don't think it's an asset that you can't. You have a plethora of in order to improve your organization elsewhere. I think the Padres need to get more pitching. You never have too much pitching. It'd be nice to have another arm or two for the San Diego Padres. But I like where your head's at. I understand what you're thinking, right? He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You're probably not re-signing him. You could bring in a left fielder for the next couple of years in Tyler O'Neill. I get where you're at on that. I don't see that happening with the Orioles. And I don't necessarily know if the Padres are willing to, at this point, give up on Dylan Cease. I think if they were going to try to get some prospects back from a team that really wanted to compete that year. And I don't know if Baltimore, I would need a little bit more than Tyler O'Neill to part ways with pitching, especially with the future that, with the track record that Dylan Cease has. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We saw that Bryce Johnson got picked up by the Padres before we get into this talking point on the Cubs. So he gets picked up by the Padres on a trade for Brett Sullivan with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he's a outfielder, obviously brings some outfield depth for San Diego. He was in the organization last year. And, I think as soon as people saw that move went down, it was, well, maybe the Padres are more concerned with Jackson Merrill than we originally thought. I don't really see that to be the case. Bryce Johnson, 29-year-old outfielder, spent most of the time in the minor leagues in his career. He's with the Pirates in the minor leagues. He's a switch hitter, throws right. Had some time with the Padres last year in 2024 at 206 average, 524 OPS. I think most of it has to do with the fact that the Padres don't have a lot of depth down in the minor leagues right now when it comes to the outfield position. And what I mean by depth, I mean, you're just trying to fill out some rosters right now. A lot of the outfielders that you had down in the minor leagues are now up with the big league club due to injuries. Connor Joe is playing the outfield, even though he's listed as an infielder. Oscar Gonzalez was playing in the outfield for the minor league squads, or should I say AAA El Paso. I think it would have been more alarming about the injury if Bryce Johnson was on the 40-man roster, but he's not on the 40-man roster. He's like Eggy Rosario. In order to bring him up, you'd have to put him on the 40-man roster. Maybe they brought him in because they're going to bring Tirso Ornelas up. I mean, I guess if you want to think in between the lines from that perspective, you can, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they obviously thought they needed some minor league help with outfielding because two of your outfielders at the big league level have been placed on the injured list, which means you got to pull more guys up. And that just creates a void throughout the entire minor league system. They obviously felt like Brett Sullivan was an asset to a lot of teams, not necessarily their team. He was back filled behind two catchers in the pros. And then again with Luis Camposado, who's hitting the ball really well, not really playing a great defensive catcher, but he hasn't really ever. So he was buried on the depth chart. Pirates really needed a catcher, and so the Padres flipped the catcher for some more outfield help. I think that's it. I think this has to do more with the Pirates needing catching help at the big league level in the near future right now than it does with the Padres needing help in center field or in the outfield. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you're going to need him. You know, Jackson Merrill seems like he's doing a lot better. He got to do his, some rehab stuff yesterday. He was not on the trip, according to Kevin Acee. Neither was Brandon Lockridge. They stayed home. So they're not on the trip to Houston. I don't know if they're going to meet the team in Detroit. I doubt it. With how they're keeping Jackson Merrill and being cautious with him, I would imagine that the soonest, the earliest you could see Jackson Merrill is probably when the Padres play the Giants at home. But that's just my thought on that. There's other things going on in the sports world. It's time to check in on the sports thread, which I was told is one of the best.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right. Adam Klug has promised a good sports thread, said he was locked in on it early today. He's fired up. Padres are 15-4, and his excitement has been placed into the sports thread.
I made no such promise.
Number 1.
After nearly 40 years on the set of College Game Day, Lee Corso has announced he'll retire from the popular college football pregame show, with his final show coming on August 30th. How should Lee Corso's impact on college football be remembered?
I just think of him as the headgear guy. That's
right.
How I think of him the most. Obviously, I think most people in college football and our college football fans view him as the College Game Day guy more than a coach. He was a coach for a long time too. But I will always remember the not so fast and the mascot headgear,
friend.
And that's what I'll remember the most.
Number 2.
Let's stay in the world of college football as the NCAA's Playing Rules Oversight Panel has approved changes to injury timeout rules in an effort to eliminate players faking injuries to slow down the opposing offense. Under the new rule approved Wednesday, if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If the team doesn't have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. Do you believe this new rule will accomplish what it's intended to accomplish?
It just depends how many guys are actually faking injuries. Wasn't this brought up, wasn't Lane Kiffin the one that was bringing this up? Because he runs
a lot of people.
Goes fast. So before...
Happened against Chip Kelly a lot when he was at Oregon.
Right, but before... I thought they were charging these guys timeouts. But that was if they... But that was only if before the ball was spotted. I thought they were already getting charged timeouts for.
I'm coming to you for
injuries.
the college football knowledge. I thought you'd be all over this.
I know. Well, the thing is I got high school rules I have to remember. There's college rules I have to remember. The pro rules are different. I don't mind it. I don't think there's as much faking of injuries as you would think. I think a lot of offenses like to say that a lot. So, but I don't mind it. I mean, if your guy, it's what they have in the NFL, right? If the guy gets hurt and he has to stop the clock, it shouldn't be to your advantage. So I don't mind it.
Number 3.
A day after Nationals shortstop Paul DeYoung was hit in the face by Pirates pitcher Mitch Keller, sending him to the IL with a fractured nose, Nationals reliever Jorge Lopez hit one of the Pirates' best hitters, Brian Reynolds, in the 7th inning yesterday. Then he nearly hit Andrew McCutchen in the head with a fastball that he had to quickly duck out of the way to avoid. Both benches cleared and Lopez was ejected. This morning, he was suspended 3 games and fined by Major League Baseball. Lopez said after the game he didn't intentionally throw at either player and that he's been trying to find his delivery this year and apologized that it happened. Do you believe Lopez did not intentionally throw at the Pirates?
I'm not convinced he didn't throw at Reynolds on purpose. I am convinced he didn't throw at McCutchen on purpose, although it was a fastball high and in. I mean, he looked like he was a little rattled in general. I was trying to find on the highlights last night what sparked him to throw at McCutchen. The fact that he hit the Pirates knocked out one of the other guys earlier, I think sends a little bit of a message. Maybe that's why they hit Reynolds. But after that, I don't think they tried to hit Kutch. I don't know what he was thinking. But you know what? The Pirates got the last laugh because when they took Lopez out and they had to finish the at-bat to McCutchen walked, and then it was a grand slam by O'Neal Cruz. So Pirates got the victory on that. And then the Pirates won again today. So I think the Pirates are fine. And nobody was hurt in the process.
O'Neal Cruz having a great season.
Number 4.
We had 2 more NBA play-in games last night with the Heat beating the Bulls 109-90 and the Mavericks beating the Kings 120-106.
Wow.
I'm sure Nico Harrison is relieved. The Heat will now face the Hawks tomorrow for the final spot in the East, and the Mavs will face the Grizzlies for the final spot in the West. Of the 4 teams listed above, Heat, Hawks, Mavs, Grizzlies, they're all competing for the final 2 playoff spots. Which is the most dangerous team if they get in?
I think the Grizzlies are, with John Morant and Desmond Bane and Edie in the middle. I think they have a good opportunity. Plus, who knows what kind of celebration John Morant can come up with in the postseason. I think it's about entertainment. Might be the most dangerous.
Dangerous. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Number 5.
This guy lives on the edge.
It's time for our daily Travis Hunter story. The Browns are the heavy favorites to draft the two-way star with the 2nd overall pick. And yesterday, Browns GM Andrew Berry compared Hunter to Shohei Ohtani, calling Hunter a unicorn if you let him play on both sides of the ball. Is it fair to Travis Hunter to compare him to Shohei Ohtani and place those kind of expectations on a rookie?
Absolutely not. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to it's completely apples and oranges comparison. He's going to have to do it at an elite level in the NFL. I don't see him being able to do it. I mean, maybe he can. That'd be sick for him, right? It's just going to be very difficult. And I think the other thing, too, is I think it's just more taxing on your body in the National Football League. It's taxing on your arm in Major League Baseball, but it's more taxing on your body, entire body, in the NFL. And if he does do it, I don't know how many years he could do it before his body starts to break down. But more power to him. He wants to give it a shot. I think they're setting some very high, unrealistic expectations instead of just letting the guy go out there and perform. Just let him go out there and play. It's interesting. I can't wait for next week's draft and our draft show.
We'll have a draft show here.
We'll have a draft show.
Through the Fan. Next Thursday. It's Padres off day, so no game. You, Chris Ella, Matt Scraby, 5:00 p.m.
Looking forward to
next
it.
Thursday.
There's a lot of moves in the draft that I find interesting, a lot of strategies I find interesting. Some debates I'm sure I'll find interesting as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about draft, what draft day is like, a lot of these NFL questions, from a player himself. Brett Rypien's going to join us in studio here for the 12 o'clock, beginning part of the 12 o'clock hour. Get to know Brett Rypien a little bit. He does live here in San Diego now. He's backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He has been around the league, bounced around. I mean, what an interesting life, moving all over the country, being a backup quarterback. He's got pressed into action a couple of times, played at Boise State. He is the nephew of Mark Rypien, who played in the NFL for a long time. So should be a fun conversation. And again, he's a Padres fan, so we'll talk some Padres baseball with him as well, and kind of get that interesting perspective of baseball from a different athlete. Guy played baseball in high school too, so should be a fun time. Brett Rypien will join me next on the Braden Surprenant Show. We'll get back to your phone calls later on and talk Padres baseball as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, sending us on one sports station 97.3 The Fan.
Padres, Astros, tomorrow.
0-2, swing and a miss.
Pre-game, 4:10. First pitch, 5:10. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey guys, it is Woodsy, and as a parent, my top priority is making sure my family, my children, are cared for, no matter what happens. Did you know that if you pass away without a will, the state decides what happens to your assets and even your kids? Without a will, the courts, not your family, have the final say about who will raise your children. Protect your family with Trust and Will. Their simple process lets you start online and nominate guardians, plan your legacy, and secure the future of your loved ones. Take control and start the year with peace of mind. Visit trustandwill.com today. Use the code FAN for 20% off and free shipping. That's code FAN at trustandwill.com.
Need inspiration? Shop Ralph's for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Ralph's, you always get big flavors and big savings. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
USDA Choice Bone-In Beef Rib Ribeye Roast is on sale for only $8.99 a pound with your digital coupon. Limit 1. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
Here's how easy it is to get the yard you deserve with Moon Valley Nurseries. Our job is to design. Your job is to kick back. Our job is to deliver. Your job is to relax. Our job is to plant. Your job is to enjoy. Moon Valley Nurseries does it all, making it easy for you to get the yard you've always wanted. Guaranteed. Get 50% off plus free planting. Visit moonvalleynurseries.com.
San Diego to Tijuana, bus leaving in 3 minutes.
Hey, how are you, babe?
Hi, I'm good, but I wish you were here in Tijuana.
I know, I wish you were here in San Diego. Hey, I just sent you a song.
I love it, but it made me miss you even more.
Next stop, Tijuana Central Bus Terminal.
Hey, go outside.
Wait, why?
What? What are you doing here?
Surprise.
With AT&T, use your plan in Mexico like in the 619. 2 countries, 1 network. Only with AT&T. Available for U.S. customers. Requires eligible plan. Additional speed, coverage, and other restrictions apply. Visit att.com/one network for details.
Hey guys, it is Woodsy, and if I told you we could finally calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back and not miss a beat, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you sign up for that today? Call QC Kinetics. Their science is solid. They will give you your life back. It worked for me. Could not imagine how much pain I'd be in right now without my friends over at QC Kinetics. Call now. Find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without chronic joint pain. 619-614-PAIN. 619-614-PAIN. It's QC Kinetics. 619-614-PAIN.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Follow San Diego's #1 sports station on X at 97.3 The Fan ST, and you'll always be in the know regarding all things San Diego sports.
That is awesome.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, it's Chris Ello. We talk Padres, but I like to steer the discussion in the direction of the Aztecs as well. Listen for yourself. Glenn and Chris, 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays on 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
And well, we got a special guest in studio with us today. Brett Rypien is going to be joining us the next couple of segments. He is a NFL quarterback. He's been around the league for a handful of years now. He had a great career at Boise State. Is from the Pacific Northwest and is now a member of the Minnesota Vikings. And he works out here in San Diego. His lovely wife, who is here to join us just to make sure he's saying all the right things, is from San Diego too. So that's kind of the connection. But Brett, thanks for coming in and been joining us for a couple of segments. What's going on?
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. You guys got a pretty sweet setup here, man.
So I we were talking a little bit about the San Diego connection, and I want to just kind of establish that early, being on the #1 sports station in San Diego. So, you're from the Pacific Northwest, stayed up there, went to Boise State. But how did you find yourself down here in San Diego, working out at Fitness Quest, and now living here full time?
Yeah, well, thanks to my lovely wife over here, Laura. We obviously went to Boise State, grew up in Spokane, Washington, and then we met our freshman year at Boise, and she was a soccer player there. And then I remember coming down here for a spring break. I want to say it was in 2016, maybe 2017, and got to go work out at Fitness Quest for the first time with Charleston, who, shout out Charleston. He doesn't even work at Fitness Quest anymore, but then got to know, who Todd Durkin was a little bit. And then, we end up coming back after my first off season with the Denver Broncos in 2019. So that was 2020 off season. And just been working at Fitness Quest ever since. And we love it down here. We've bought a home now. So we have roots here. This is kind of our home base. So we love it.
Well, again, appreciate you coming in, and let's talk a little bit about your journey. I mean, we're going to get into the NFL stuff, and your line of work and job is fascinating, I think, to a lot of people, in particular, just a quarterback in the National Football League, and whether it's a starting spot or a backup. I mean, moving all over the country and doing all these different things, just to keep the career going and doing your passion. But let's talk about you, growing up in Spokane, Washington. I mean, that is a place that is, very difficult to live. What's it like being a kid in the, in Eastern Washington growing up? Obviously probably from not that big of an area, compared to your wife that grew up in San Diego, probably a lot of different upbringing up there in Spokane.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Gonzaga was the talk of the town. That's all we had up in Spokane. Obviously we have the Seattle teams, but that's a, 4.5 hour drive. And some cold winters too. I mean, I don't think people realize it. In Seattle, you get rain and stuff, and the winters are pretty mild, but you come over to the east side of the state and you get a lot of snow up there. And, you're hunkered down from November till really early March. I remember playing high school baseball up there and in some snow games, which was never ideal. But yeah, man, I mean, I think, it's funny working with a lot of high school quarterbacks down here, just through some connections I've made. And I always tell those guys, man, like, you have no idea how lucky you have it, to be outside 365 days a year and, have that opportunity and be able to take advantage of that.
What was your recruiting process like up there in Spokane? I mean, obviously I coach high school football, so everybody's is different, but at what point during your high school career did you think, I can keep playing at other levels? What was the recruitment process like in terms of offers you got, and ultimately your decision to, stay up in relatively the same area and go into Boise State, who by the time you were showing up had achieved a lot of great things as a football program?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I thought I was going to be a baseball player. Most of my high school career, I played club baseball. Ever since I was 12 years old. I really didn't start getting into football till probably my freshman year in high school, and still thought going into my junior year that I was going to be a baseball player. And ultimately, I think I just found that I think I was getting more opportunities on the football side and started to fall in love with the game. A little bit more. I had both in-state offers with Washington State, Oregon State, Arizona State, and Boise is what it really came down to. And I remember Chris Peterson was the original coach that recruited me at Boise, and he ended up going to UW. So I was able to meet the new staff. My last visit I took was to meet the new staff at Boise, and it was really kind of between Boise and UW. And right before I went and took a visit down to Boise, Jake Browning committed to Washington. And so that kind of rescinded my offer and kind of made my decision a lot easier. And had an unbelievable time at Boise, man. Like the culture there and, the people there, the city, and the program has obviously just been so special for so long. And it's cool to see them continue to do that.
Vikings quarterback Brett Rypien joining us in studio on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Obviously with the Mountain West ties to here in San Diego State. I mean, those were some of the years where the Aztecs had some pretty good seasons. But your career at Boise State, you broke a lot of Kellen Moore's records. You went out there and finished your career with 13,500 passing yards, 90 touchdowns. I always love like in-game kind of stories. Like what are some of your favorite moments playing at Boise State that you can remember, or big games in Boise or maybe on the road that you remember the most from your college days?
I think one that sticks out for sure was when we were playing at Colorado State 2017, and we were down, I want to say 28-6 at half. It might have even been 28-3. And, second half we come out with the first half. We were just horrible. I mean, we had turnovers, just missed throws, routes, miscommunication. It was just an absolute, gong show the entire first half. And then we get into halftime, and there was really like this calm sense of belief, that we were going to be able to make a comeback. And that was in Colorado State's new stadium. And they had actually I think they had just beaten us, like I want to say a year ago, but up until that point, there was 8 straight seasons they'd never beaten us in the Mountain West. And everybody thought like, okay, here's the time. And we come back out in the second half and we have just this crazy comeback. We force it to go to overtime with an onside kick, and then end up winning it in overtime. Leighton Vander Esch gets a forced fumble to end it there in overtime. And then after the game, I get a couple Venmo requests from people saying I had Colorado State like +6.5 or something like that. So those are always memorable.
I can't believe that. I mean, it's a little bit more prevalent now than back when you played, but that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's just kind of the crazy state of affairs of college athletics right now. And we'll dive more into other topics in the next segment. But what's your, with being a Mountain West guy and conference realignment, and obviously Boise State has always been one of the better programs from the group of 5. The way everything's kind of moving around and shaking out. I mean, what's your overall opinion on this conference realignment and really where everything stands, especially the connection here with San Diego State? But you got the new Pac-12 starting with Boise and San Diego State. From a Boise State alumni perspective, do you think they're set up to continue? And what have you seen out of college football now as you have gotten years out of it, watching from afar?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting time and an interesting landscape. I think there's still some things that need to be addressed in terms of transfer rules, and how you're able to transfer so many times. I think there has to be some sanctions on, if you transfer more than once, the penalty should be more significant, in my opinion, just because, you're incentivizing guys just to basically sign 1-year contracts and, be able to leave. And you're seeing that now with like the Tennessee quarterback, that didn't show up for spring camp. I mean, that's a pro football type of thing to have happen. And then he ends up transferring. So it's just a wild time. I think the new Pac-12 will be great for schools like San Diego State and Boise. And, I think that they're going to continue to gain more exposure. And obviously, I think those two schools specifically have been looking to reconference for a while. And, ultimately, who knows? It could turn into, where they have really just 4 major conferences. I don't know how far that is down the road where they get rid of, maybe the Pac-12 as well. And I know Washington State and Oregon State would probably, be a fan of that as well. But I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, I think over these next 5 to 10 years, but I do think that the realigning, especially for schools like Boise and San Diego State, will be good in the long run.
It's a little bit different, obviously, from when you played. I mean, you spent all 4 years at Boise State. Is that, if the rules were different, I mean, would you be part of that, transfer? I mean, how beneficial was it for you in your development to stay in the same place for 4 years in terms of, at least relating it back to current players, if you could give them some advice of, that asked you that are young quarterbacks going through now?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest things that's helped me throughout my pro career is having to battle through some adversity. Like I did in my college career. I was going into my junior year. I had a great freshman season, had a, okay, bad end of the year, my sophomore year. And then going into my junior season, they bring in, a transfer quarterback from Kansas, and we're kind of splitting time to start the year. And that was a really tough time for me. And, it would have been easy, I think, like you say, nowadays, if after my sophomore year, I had 2 pretty solid seasons, I was first team All Mountain West, to be able to leave. But actually going through that adversity that I went through, at Boise, and having to battle out of, getting benched, for one game, and, kind of coming through that, I think has really helped me in my pro career. So it'll be interesting to see, how a lot of these guys deal with, the adversity that you face in the NFL, because, I mean, if you think it's bad in college, it's, 10 times fold as much in the NFL, what you're going to be, dealing with, the amount of pressure, the amount of media coverage, and it just the caliber of players, obviously, that you're facing every single day. You just have to be able to bring it. And I think that when you go through hard times, it helps you deal with that stuff for sure.
Vikings quarterback Brett Rypien in studio with us on the Braden Surprenant show here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I got a draft question for you, and then we'll take a break and get back to it. But the draft's next week, and for you, you go through the whole draft, and probably thought you were going to get drafted. I mean, the numbers that you put up in college would suggest so, and you end up going the route of an undrafted free agent. You land in with the Denver Broncos. You put out the tweet, "I'm staying a Bronco for at least next year," which was kind of funny. But what was that process like for you? And going through that, and when you speak of adversity, obviously maybe a disappointment, but then going into another opportunity, talk to us a little bit about that experience for a lot of guys, because you see the 7 rounds on TV, and for the guys to get drafted, but there's a lot of players that make an NFL, make a career of the NFL that don't get drafted like yourself.
Yeah, I would say, for the majority of guys, draft day is somewhat disappointing. I mean, I can even think of my good friend Drew Lock, who went to draft day in 2019 for the televised, and it was in the back room in the green room, thinking he was going to go in the first round, and doesn't end up going until the 34th pick on day, or 34th pick's the second pick on day 2. And just hearing how his experience was just, horrible, having the cameras constantly on you. But yeah, for me and, for my whole family, draft day was tough. I mean, it was, I thought I was going to be the first quarterback ever from Boise State to be drafted. And, that was something that I had really worked for throughout my entire college career, knowing that had never happened. And it was hard for everybody, I think, that was involved with that moment. But like you said, it's just another step in the road. And, ultimately, I think when you get down to those later day 3, 6th, 7th round, it's actually sometimes an advantage, I think, to be an undrafted free agent, because you're able to kind of see a situation and where you want to go. And I felt like Denver was a great opportunity for me to kind of step in there and, at least get my foot in the door, be able to be a part of an organization on practice squad for 1 year, and ultimately ended up being a great decision. And I had a great time there in my 4 years.
I really want to know a little bit about like the mindset of being a backup quarterback at such a high level and kind of understanding the business side of things as you go through your career. We're gonna talk about that when we come back. And I know you got some takes on some retired jerseys maybe in Colorado. We also got some takes on the San Diego Padres too, because first one to ask me about the Jackson Merrill contract after he signed the extension was Brett at the gym to get the details on it. So engaged baseball fan. We'll talk about your baseball love too. But Brett Rypien in studio with us, going to continue on during our next segment of the Braden Surprenant Show on 97.3 The Fan.
I'm Chelsea Messenger, helping you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. Bet of the day is taking Cade Cunningham to lead the next Pistons series in points. This is 2-1 over at BetMGM. Feels like a great bet to make, considering Cunningham is the go-to guy for the Pistons, and he's been great against the Knicks. Cunningham has 36 points in each of the last 2 games against New York. Let's take Cade Cunningham to lead the series in points at plus 200. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
San Diego, your spring upgrade starts now at Kearney Mesa Volkswagen, your local veteran-owned dealership on Convoy Street. It's the spring sale, and we're dropping prices with terror-free savings on the Volkswagens you want right now. Cruise the coast or commute in comfort with the brand new 2025 Jetta Sport, just $249 a month. Or make your next road trip the best one yet in the 2025 Taos SE, just $259 a month. No tariff markups, no gimmicks, just real deals. With a team that brings military values, honesty, respect, and service to everything we do. These are limited time offers built for San Diego drivers who want quality, performance, and value. Whether you're heading to the beach, downtown, or just out for tacos, we've got your next VW waiting. Don't miss your chance to score spring savings before they're gone. Kearney Mesa Volkswagen, veteran owned, San Diego proud, and always local. For more details about these specials, go to KearneyMesaVolkswagen.com.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. The baseball season is underway as we continue to see the teams separate themselves from the rest. Texas has had a resurgence, returning to form after winning it all in 2023. They will be tested in an early season series against Los Angeles. Will Texas be able to wrangle a couple of wins in the series? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't get you, IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus Awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
Hey, it's Ben from 97.3 The Fan. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days with SDFatLoss.com, and I love hearing these success stories. I am a listener of 97.3 The Fan, and I heard last summer you and Chris Ello doing this program, and I thought, why can't I be that person? So I decided to give them a call. So how much weight did you lose? So in my first 60 days, I actually lost about 50 pounds. Since then, almost a year ago, I've actually dropped an additional 43, totaling 93 pounds. That's so incredible. So how did you feel as the weight was coming off? It felt amazing. It's one of those things where you just don't even believe it when it's happening. And what they advertise about up to a pound a day is true. I was losing a pound and a half a day consistently for the first 60 days. Thank you, Manny, for sharing your great success story with SDFatLoss.com. To learn the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day and start your own story, call SDFatLoss.com at 858-665-3211 or go online to SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com.
Prices are going up everywhere. Tariffs may drive up costs across the country, but not at Legacy Box.
Why? Because we're proudly 100% American made. Every tape, film reel, and photo you send stays right here in the USA.
digitized by skilled technicians who know your memories are priceless.
Introducing the Legacy Box All-American Sale. Just $9 per tape. Not $15, not $12, just $9.
We're the nation's #1 digitizer, trusted by over 1 million families because we've made it simple. Just fill your Legacy Box with old tapes, film reels, and photos. We'll digitize them by hand and return everything. Plus, digital copies on the cloud you can relive and share forever.
With Legacy Box, your memories are safe from tariffs and safe from time. Heat, humidity, and age are already destroying your family's history. So take advantage of our limited time $9 tape sale.
Visit legacybox.com/value to lock in savings today. That's legacybox.com/value. Legacy Box, American made, trusted by families.
This hour on 96 Fans brought to you by Robert Half. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Minnesota Vikings quarterback Brett Rypien joins us in studio. A lot of people in the chat that were just tuning in were like, why is he here? What's the San Diego connection? So we'll reiterate it. His wife is from San Diego, went to Westview and ended up playing soccer at Boise State at the same time that Brett was playing football at Boise State. And off air, she was talking. Her family's diehard Padre fans and big sports talk radio listeners, which we love to hear. You guys were at the game yesterday. How'd you enjoy the game yesterday?
It was great. Yeah. I mean, obviously another win. I mean, it's crazy. Like we were saying, we check, the standings every single day now. And it's like, you go to overall and there's the Padres at #1. Like it's been just an unbelievable start to the year for them. And I mean, really like pitching, defense, hitting has all been really good, but like you look at the pitching, I think that's got to be like maybe the biggest surprise so far, like with Darvish being out and how good the bullpen has been. And we actually got to talk about that too. I have a family connection.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that, but
I was told.
Yeah, so my second cousin is Alec Jacob. So his grandma was my grandma's sister.
Oh, wow.
So there's a small world.
There's a small world connection.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys from Spokane down here in San Diego, right?
Yeah, so if I wasn't a Padre fan before, I'm for sure a Padre fan now.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I do want to – we're going to continue on with a couple other questions I had of just like the business that you're in, of being a quarterback in the National Football League. But I have to ask on the Padre baseball side of things, being a baseball guy that you are. I mean, when you're in the NFL locker room and you guys are, talking about everything under the sun, what's the, because I see in the Padres clubhouse, like on Sunday during the Masters, when we were doing media availability, we had to wait for the final hole and then the playoff hole because all the players were locked in on the Masters. How much sports talk do you guys do? And you got guys that are fans of other leagues, other teams. What's the shared sports fandom in the locker room in the NFL? Because you guys spend a lot of time with each other during the season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's always random conversations going on, and I think the NBA is probably the most talked about in NFL locker rooms, and the Jordan LeBron debate. Who's in the top 5? Is Kobe Bryant, in that top 3 conversation? So we have those conversations all the time. What you realize is that like at the end of the day, like these guys are just big kids. And like we get to do what we dreamed about doing for a living. And, and you got to keep it light. I mean, especially I feel like, I don't know how a baseball locker room is, but when you're playing 162 games a year, that can probably wear on you. So when you do get free time, you don't want to think about baseball. You want to talk about some other things. And obviously sports is, a big passion of everybody's. So, I mean, anytime you can talk about, other sports and other guys and how they're doing, I think it's good.
Well, plus you got a San Diegan as a head coach up there. It's your second year with KevinOConnell in Minnesota. But is that your resident Padres fan up there to talk Padres baseball with Kevin, or he's locked in throughout the entire year?
Oh no, he is a massive Padres fan. So funny story. We've become good friends with Eric Grupner, Padres CEO, through some mutual friends. And last year during our bye week in Minnesota, it was game 4 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. And Laura and I texted Eric and we were like, hey, can we, come to the game, kind of last minute thing? And he was like, yeah, sure. So we go up there and see him in his box, and all of a sudden I walk in and Kevin's right there, like right in the box. And I had no idea he was going to be there. So I'm all of a sudden like, obviously I see this guy every day at work. I'm sure he's the last person I want to see walking into that box. So it was such a funny, like kind of awkward moment. Like, what are you doing here? And then, so yeah, he's a massive, massive Padre fan. Flew back for game 4 of the NLDS, which that would have gone a little bit differently, but
it's all right. It happens. It happens. As you know, in sports, a lot of things don't go your way sometimes, but you've had a pretty, fun NFL career. I mean, you've had opportunities to start games. Your first ever NFL start was on Thursday Night Football. You guys got a victory too. I'm sure that was a fun experience for you, but and we'll talk about that. I want you to tell us about that day that you had, but also like, from a mental perspective, and you talked about, you guys are all big kids playing a game, but this is a business, this is work. You understand, there's a lot of things that move with your life and trying to, pursue your dream of being a quarterback in the NFL. And, that's obviously very difficult, having a family. It's difficult with a lot of different things, but, how do you go about the business side of football, as a quarterback, especially for a guy in your position where you might have to start one week, or you might have to go in a game that you weren't expected to go in because of an injury, your preparation and stuff like that. So, what's the business side for you? How do you handle that? Because some of that could be obviously very, can turn your emotions in a different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been through, every situation you could possibly think of under the sun, from, starting out as a practice squad quarterback. And then my second year, was COVID, and I didn't make the team out of camp. And because we brought in a guy that they thought was going to be the backup, then by game 2, that was when I got my first start, and I was the backup for the rest of that year. So I've been a backup, I've been third string. And, I think the old cliche is you just control what you can control, right? But like that, at the end of the day, is so true in any professional sport. I mean, you got to just be process oriented and, have your routines that you do throughout a week. Like my routine is so dialed in now for an NFL week. But it's a lot. I mean, it's a 14-hour day. And as a backup, you're not getting to go out on Sunday and take all that preparation to the field. You're just kind of right there, ready, waiting, as you are as a bullpen pitcher. I'm sure that's very similar analogy there, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, you go about your routine. You make sure that, the old cliche of, don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So that's kind of the mentality that I take, and, try to do that as best as I can.
Tell us about that your first NFL start, Thursday Night Football. Playing night games in the NFL is very rare. It's always usually an important deal. Ended up getting a victory, and take us through that. What kind of day that was for you? And at one point, did you sit back and be like, I just started and won an NFL football game?
Yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster for sure. I mean, it was during COVID, so obviously no fans there, but that was probably the loudest game I've ever been a part of, with the way that they were pumping in music while we were in the huddle. And there was actually there was some rules that the NFL had and some guidelines to make it a little bit easier to call plays, because they knew teams were going to try to do that. But they were definitely crossing the line that night in terms of, how loud they were playing the music. And it was I remember just being so hard to hear what was going on. And there was literally nobody in the stadium. And then I'm screaming plays in the huddle. And then obviously the game was very up and down. We ended up putting up 37 points, which was awesome. But I had a couple turnovers, that I wish, could have had back. And then, at the end of the game, there was 3 personal fouls in a row. We were doing the old roll out to the right and throw a foul ball, basically just chuck it out of bounds to run off some clock. And we were up 9 points. We could have just taken a knee and, or punted it. And, we decided to do 3 of those in a row, and I got late hit on 3 of them in a row. So it was definitely a roller coaster, but I mean, a dream come true moment for sure. Getting that opportunity and then going out there and getting a win.
I mean, I watched that that quarterback show on Netflix, and the one that really stood out to me was the Kirk Cousins one, and he's just getting pulverized, and the hits look hellacious. But as a football coach, I mean, I always feel like it's relative to like the level of play you're at. I mean, just in the perspective of the NFL, obviously the speed is way faster, everything like that. But what is it like? With some of those. I mean, you're going against a gigantic. First of all, you're a gigantic human being, but you're going against gigantic human beings that are incredibly fast. What was that big transition for you between college and the NFL from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint?
Yeah, I think from a physical standpoint, I mean, all the hits, they hurt. I mean, but you realize that in the NFL, the pass rush is so good and so disciplined. I think that was the biggest thing I noticed right away from college to the NFL is like your pocket movement has to be so precise. Like you can't have these big step ups because you're not going to really, most of the time, you're not going to have an area to really step up into. So you have to be very disciplined with how you operate in the pocket. And then obviously the athletes in the back end are really good, but I think the nice thing is, they're going to be in the right spot. A lot of times in college, you get guys that are busting their coverage or, whatever. And actually it can be advantageous for them because they end up, falling into a play or whatever. Like what you see in the NFL is like what you're going to get, where guys are going to be. The game is so structured and so disciplined that as a quarterback, like if you understand coverage and you understand, your concepts that you're running, it actually can make it a little bit easier. And I've heard that analogy used with some guys saying that it's actually a little bit easier to hit in the big leagues than it is in, AAA because guys are going to be hitting their spots, whereas maybe like a guy in AA, he's going to be a little bit wilder, so you don't exactly know a lot of the time. So it's kind of that deal.
Well, it's funny, and we're with Vikings quarterback Brett Rypien here on the Braden Surprenant show. So I got a couple more things for you, and then we got to take our final break and say goodbye. And I know you're getting ready for to depart here, San Diego, to get ready for OTAs and all that fun stuff right around draft time. But there's in your work, you work out with Jordan Love at Fitness Quest. With the Packers. He had a nice fro the other day. It was looking nice. I'll let you save those comments for a different time. But working over there with Marcus and Todd, and I'm blanking on his name, but there was a pitcher that's now pitching down in Mexico, and he was getting ready for the season. And you were going to, as a former baseball guy, step in the box on a live kind of bullpen session.
Yep.
And I was texted from a mutual friend, like he said, over under Rip makes contact.
Yeah.
In the 5 at-bats. And I was like, hit or make contact? And he was like, oh, just make contact. And I was like, well, he's an athlete. I believe that you could have made contact in this particular situation. Not saying a hit. What was your take on that? We didn't end up doing this, but do you think you can make some contact?
Absolutely.
In that bat?
I would have made contact. I think that was a too long of a debate in my opinion. And I respect, so Justin Courtney is the pitcher.
Yes. Okay.
He's down in the Mexico League right now. And obviously, yeah, I haven't played baseball in, 10 years or whatever, how long I've been out of high school, but I've taken some BP and, if he threw me a heater, like he was sitting anywhere from 92. I went and watched his bullpen. He was sitting anywhere from 92 to 94. And I'd faced that in high school. Like if you gave me, because the argument was 10 at bats, could I make contact? Absolutely. I think I'm going to at least foul tip one. Like,
yeah, that's all you had to do. It's
exactly.
not, you didn't need a double off the wall. You just needed to get a piece of it for sure. I was the only one in your camp, at least that I was told, but it's a shame that we didn't get to see that. Maybe next year. As we, say goodbye, kind of lay out for us the next couple of weeks. What's the process like? What's it, start gearing up. What does the draft look like for a guy like you? And obviously it's a business, so things could be moving around. But as of right now, it's the next couple of weeks leading into the summer for a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, so we head back to OTAs next week. So I don't know. It's so funny. Like I think a lot of people don't really understand how the NFL offseason works. So like our first 3 weeks of phase 1 of OTAs are offseason training activities. You're only in there from 8 to noon. and you're basically just doing meetings and you're doing a lift, and then, we'll go throw on our own without coaches. You can't have coaches out there. So the first, really 3 weeks are just kind of time to get everybody back together. Play a lot of golf. I think that's what we do the most, during that time, and, kind of just start to build that rapport back up. Then you do 3 weeks of phase 2, which now you're getting coaches back out on the field and you're running some individual drills or whatever. And then the last 3 weeks, you go to phase 3, which is your OTA practices. And that's really not a whole lot of 11 on 11, no pads. So it's mostly 7 on 7. You're doing maybe, some more individual drills, maybe a little bit of 11 on 11, and then you roll right into mini camp for 3 days, and then you get your 5 weeks off. So it's kind of a crazy time. I'll be flying back and forth from Minnesota to San Diego. I'll be out there Monday through Thursday, and then I'll fly back on the weekends. And, I think a lot of guys do that just to try to keep, their rhythm and maybe get the most out of where they're staying in the off season. And, so it's a great time, and it's a great time to build rapport with the guys for sure.
Well, Brett, appreciate it, man. We got to do this again. Obviously when you're in town, if not, phoners work too, all the way to Minnesota, but it's a pleasure, getting to know you a little bit more. I think a lot of the fans enjoyed that. So thanks again for coming in. Had some fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Brett Rypien joining us in studio. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, dive back into some Padres news. Padres home field advantage. It's been a huge advantage for the Padres at Petco Park. We'll tell you just exactly why when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Quinn and Chris on the Fan.
If you guys could compete in any Olympic event, what would you choose?
I've always been drawn to figure skating. I remember when I was a kid.
I was not expecting him to go there.
No, I don't think any of us were.
I really have, though. There was
Tony is dying over there for
Listen to Quinn and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 on 97.3 The Fan.
A mix of clouds and sun, also breezy, highs mid-60s.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
Hey, San Diego, it's Woodsy. My family discovered the perfect balance of yin and yang with EcoWater SoCal, better cooking, softer skin, and amazing showers. To celebrate their 100th anniversary in 2025, get purified alkaline water for just $9.95 monthly and embrace the soft life for you and the family. Call 760-350-3338. Mention Woods for your free water test. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com. This will set you on the path where great water begins. Once again, go to EcoWaterSoCal.com. And remember, your water should be perfect.
San Diego to Tijuana, bus leaving in 3 minutes.
Hey, how are you, babe?
Hi, I'm good, but I wish you were here in Tijuana.
I know. I wish you were here in San Diego. Hey, I just sent you a song.
I love it, but it made me miss you even more.
Next stop, Tijuana Central Bus Terminal.
Hey, go outside.
Wait, why?
What? What are you doing here?
Surprise.
With AT&T, use your plan in Mexico like in the 619. 2 countries, 1 network. Only with AT&T. Available for U.S. customers. Requires eligible plan. Additional speed, coverage, and other restrictions apply. Visit att.com/one network for details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Car crash? Do you need help? Call the Barnes firm now. 1-800-8-million.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet, Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it off. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in the rinse change. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. If LeBron James wins a 5th title, the GOAT debate hits a new gear. At 40 years old, still carrying teams, still rewriting records, another ring would put him in rare air. It wouldn't just be the total number of rings. It would be how he did it. 2 decades, 4 teams, no slowing down. For some, Jordan will always be the standard, but 5 titles with this longevity, that's not chasing greatness, it's redefining it. I'm Maggie Gray.
.40 on the Braden Surprenant Show. Another big thank you to Brett Rypien and his wife Laura for joining us in studio. Got to learn a little bit about the backup quarterback role and his life and career. Obviously a big Padres fan. The story was kind of funny about him going to the Padres playoff game last year, walking into the suite and seeing his head coach in one of the suites at the playoff game during their bye week. And Kevin O'Connell, obviously a diehard Padres fan growing up in Encinitas and going to La Costa Canyon High School. But another big thanks to Brett Rypien. If you missed any of the interview, it's on our YouTube page as well, as it will be in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at @B_SURP, at BSURP, and follow us on X, Twitter, same thing, TikTok, and Instagram. You can also be sure to check us out on YouTube at 97 through the Fan SD or at B_SURP. Had the roundtable earlier on in the day. That will be re-aired at 5 o'clock on the Gwen and Chris program to finish up their show as we have the Padres off day. Not too much to talk about when it comes to the Padres. There's not a lot of complaining to do. They've been doing a really good job across the board. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. But I do want to mention we do have our midday sports show, our midday sports standoff coming up in about 5 minutes or so. Get in line to try to take me down to win a chance for a trip to Vegas. If you could take me down, you can win. You're qualified for a chance to win our grand prize: 2 tickets to either Disturbed, Ghost, or Pantera in Las Vegas, plus a 2-night stay at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and a $150 gift card. Get tickets for all 3 shows now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, the midday sports standoff. Jump in line. Take me on into some sports trivia, and we will see if you can be entered for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas. Padres have had a great showing at Petco Park. I think a lot of it has to do with the crowd that you guys have put together out there. I mean, sellouts almost every single night. I think they have sold out 11 of the 13 games at Petco Park this year. Even a sellout on a Wednesday is very, very impressive. To sell out a game on a Wednesday. And what has happened so far with the Padres? I mean, in terms of offense, hitting 275 at home with a 790 OPS at Petco Park, a 306 average on the batting average on balls in play. Their pitching staff has done an exceptional job pitching at home, in which they have gone 118 innings and have a team 1.30 ERA at home this season compared to the 5.47 ERA they have on the road. And now it's still early on in the year. But you start looking at some of the numbers from other teams that have rolled into here, and it's definitely a little bit of an advantage for the San Diego Padres in terms of opponents not being able to hit at Petco Park and in terms of Padres tagging other teams pitching at Petco Park. But it's pretty cool to see the Padres with these upcoming opponents. I mean, they got, with where they're at right now in the standings, we talked about some of their upcoming opponents. They got the Astros this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday Night Baseball, Padres and Astros. And then starting next week, it'll be the Detroit Tigers. And then first tester against teams in the division, San Francisco Giants will be in town after that. And that will be a little bit of a stretch there for the Padres after they take on the Tigers and the Astros. They got the Rays coming to town in the next weekend or so as well. So we'll look more into that, but we do want to get to today's Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
I'm sure they're listening on the way back to their house, but do you think Brett and Laura realize that the 3 of the calls in that Midday Sports Standoff are Minnesota Vikings calls? That is the Minnesota Vikings play-by-play guy. Who knows?
Allen?
Yes, I think so.
He's excellent.
He is excellent. You get his emotion and stuff. Some of those calls are hilarious. I crack up every single time. It's not Detroit, man. It's the Super Bowl. Let's get to today's contestant out in El Cajon. Brandon, what's going on, man? How's your Thursday?
Hey, Braden. How you doing today? My Thursday's going well.
I'm doing well. You ready for the Midday Sports Standoff?
I am.
All right. So this is how it's going to work. Adam's going to ask a trivia question that has multiple answers. For every answer you get correct, you get a point. Every answer I get correct, I get a point. If there are answers that repeat, you will get a point for each answer that appears on that said list. And if at the end, whoever's got the most points will win. If you do not answer correctly or do not take enough, or you take too much time in answering, you will get hit with a strike, and 3 strikes and you're out, and then you would lose said contest. If we tie, you win. That's how we do things here on the Braden Surprenant Show. So without further ado, here's Adam for today's trivia question.
Welcome, Brandon. Hello again, Braden. We meet again. Aaron Rodgers remains unsigned, and he went on the Pat McAfee show earlier today to discuss his future. Rodgers confirmed he's spoken with the Giants, Vikings, and Steelers and insisted he isn't stringing any of them along in his decision-making process. He just has serious things going on in his life, and it's tough to commit to a team right now. But he acknowledged retirement is on the table, something you have mentioned before, Braden. If he retires, that means he'll likely never throw another pass again, another touchdown pass, unless he pulls a Brett Favre. So I looked up the all-time passing touchdown leaders in NFL history, and Rodgers ranks 5th.
Wow.
Name me any of the other top 10 passing touchdown leaders in NFL history, excluding Aaron Rodgers.
There's 9 answers on the list.
9 correct answers, no repeaters.
No repeats. Brandon, you could start off.
Let's start with Tom Brady.
Number 1 all time.
I'm going to go with Drew Brees.
Number 2 all time.
I knew he was trying to hunt down one of those records.
They were neck and neck going back and forth, alternating the all-time record back and forth every week at one point in time. Sorry, say it again, Brandon.
How about the guy that Rodgers replaced in Green Bay, Brett Favre?
Favre.
4th all time.
Wow.
Subject of a new documentary Braden isn't interested in.
I'm not that interested in that. I'm gonna go with Peyton Manning.
So those are the top 4. You guys just knocked out the top 4. Plus Rogers is 5.
Rogers is 5.
So we're looking for answers 6 through 10 now.
Oh,
2-2 is the score.
I feel like they're all relatively recent guys too.
How about Steve Young?
Steve Young. According to this list, he's not in the top 20 of all time. He sat on the bench for a long time, played in the UFL.
A lot of rushing touchdowns, maybe. What about Ben Roethlisberger?
Ben Roethlisberger.
I wasn't 100% confident in that one.
8th all time.
Okay.
418 passing touchdowns.
On to the next one.
Your turn, Brandon.
It might be a homer guess. I really don't know. Phillip Rivers.
6th all time.
Wow. That's higher than I thought.
He has 3 more career touchdown passes than Ben Roethlisberger, and they're obviously in the same draft.
So we got
with one other high-profile quarterback in the draft.
What? How many are we at?
Say it again.
How many are we at?
You guys are tied 3-3.
So we
but
should.
Brandon has an X. So there are 3 more correct answers.
Rivers is on there. I was so hesitant. Is Eli Manning on there?
The other high-profile quarterback in the draft?
Yes. Well,
Eli is 11th all time.
So just missed.
Just misses the list. 11 behind whoever is number 10.
Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers should be the. Phillip Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame over Eli Manning. They'll probably both get in. I digress.
Okay,
You're
so
up, Brandon.
That gives me a time frame that around 2004 before.
Well, no, this is all time. It doesn't have to be 2004.
Yeah. Drew Bledsoe.
Wow, Cougs.
2 strikes.
The Cougs. My great grandmother would be upset if I didn't answer with the one of the Italian guys. So I'm gonna go with Dan. What about Dan Marino? There we go.
Marino, 7th all time. Braden, you got a 4-3 lead. Brandon's got 2 strikes. So if he gets misses here, he is out. And there are
should be 2
2
left.
correct answers left.
Which numbers?
9 and 10.
9 and 10. Well, we got 11. Just missed it.
How about Johnny Unitas?
Johnny Unitas.
They weren't throwing the ball that much.
Unitas is 17th on the list.
That's pretty good for
But
that era
he's
of
at
football.
290 touchdown passes. Brady's at 649. So quite a drop off there.
Is that his 3rd strike?
That is.
Thanks
so much for playing.
Thanks for playing, Brandon.
Thank you, guys.
So we're looking for 9 and 10.
Number 9.
I was gonna guess.
Player, you want to guess?
Is Matt Stafford on that list?
Matt Stafford is on the list. Hold on. He's number 10 on the list. Georgia Bulldog. Another quarterback very near and dear to my heart is number 9. That would be
Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan.
9th all time.
9th all time.
Would be going to the Hall of Fame pretty easily, I'd say, if he hadn't wasted that Super Bowl. Got a league MVP on his mantle.
I blame
top
the
10 all time in touchdowns.
I blame the officiating in that game.
I blame Kyle Shanahan.
Enough blame
and
can go
Dan
around for
Quinn.
him. Poor Dan Quinn.
Would you like to? If there's another current Atlanta Falcons quarterback on the list as well, top 20 that is. Kirk Cousins, 18th on the list.
Wow. I mean, I'm not surprised though, because like in this era of football, it's all passing touchdowns.
Well, for a guy who catches a lot of flack, Russell Wilson, 12th all time.
Yeah.
350 touchdown passes.
I didn't want to get into the personal deals with because Brett's played with a lot of. I mean, he's been in a lot of those groups. Like he was in Denver with Russ for a little bit. But there's a lot of quarterback. It's a lot of. I've heard things about Russ from a non-football perspective, and not from Brett, but just from other people in the league. He's just as we like to say, a tired act. He seems to be a tired act. But I don't know. I watched the in-season Hard Knocks with the AFC North last year. It didn't seem like that bad of a dude. He wasn't as annoying as I thought he was going to be, as people have said he was. But who knows? Yeah. So that was I just feel like that list is going to be mostly current quarterbacks very, very soon with this style of play.
The league has evolved.
It has evolved. It has evolved. I can't wait for the draft. Who the Falcons drafting next week?
I hope we trade down, get more draft picks,
Yeah,
take a defensive player, pass rusher.
Another tight end.
Don't get me started.
Early in the season.
I almost walked out of the room when you brought up Kirk Cousins with Brett Rypien.
He was taking a beating in those games. What's funny, I got into a discussion about the NFL with my friend who's a Cowboys fan that knows Brett about wasting the 13th pick on a receiver or running back. He disagreed. I mean, he thought he should take. I'm like, no, dude. Set yourself back a handful of years, take a receiver at the 13th pick in the draft. We're going to have our draft show next week. Chris Ello and Matt Scraby at 5 o'clock. Get you the first round. That should be fun. But coming up in the next hour, we're talking a lot of Padres baseball. And back to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods. Sometimes sports is serious business, but a lot of the time it can get downright silly.
If you like a show that isn't afraid to make fun of sports stars or ourselves, join us weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hey, guys, it is Woodsy, and if I told you we could finally calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back and not miss a beat, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you sign up for that today? Call QC Kinetics. Their science is solid. They will give you your life back. It worked for me. Could not imagine how much pain I'd be in right now without my friends over at QC Kinetics. Call now. Find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without chronic joint pain. 619-614-PAIN. 619-614-PAIN. It's QC Kinetics, 619-614-PAIN.
Looking for the perfect home base for delicious pizza? Look no further than Round Table Pizza. Since 1959, Round Table has been pizza royalty, crafting homemade dough daily and using top-notch ingredients. Round Table pizzas are handcrafted with toppings to the edge of our perfectly baked crust. And don't forget to try the new churro twists, a sweet treat baked to perfection and served with a caramel dipping sauce. Visit roundtablepizza.com for your nearest location. Round Table Pizza. It's pizza royalty.
Almost every week, kidney specialists at Sharp Healthcare perform a transplant from a living donor, like Caleb from North Park, who gave a kidney to a high school friend on dialysis. Sandra donated to a woman she met on TikTok. Terry, a father from Rancho Peñasquitos, gave a kidney to his adult son. But still, there's a list of 615 Sharp patients awaiting a kidney, surviving day by day, hoping for the life-changing call. But donating is easier than you may think. Kidneys come from friends, family, co-workers, and even from a complete stranger, like you. Adults can donate at any age, and you'll live normally, except for the privilege of forever knowing you saved a life. Learn how at sharp.com/givelife. 615 San Diegans are hoping you will.
Hey, it's Gravy here, and I am with John Tompkins. He's also a client at SD Fat Loss. Thanks so much for coming in, John.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's great to finally meet you after all those years of trading tweets back and forth. How much weight have you lost?
Actually, as of today, I've lost 40 pounds.
40 pounds. That's actually awesome because I've lost 40 pounds as well. Talk about the first couple weeks and how you felt.
I felt like I was on a mission, to be honest with you. I don't call it a plan, a diet. I call it a plan. And that plan for me worked to the T, just like it was advertised, just like it was spoke about.
When you stepped on that scale, how did it feel to see those pounds go down?
It was one of the best feelings. They talk about rewards, that you can have a reward on some other programs. To me, that reward was stepping on the scale and seeing that weight fall off. That was a reward.
To learn the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day and start your own success story, call 858-665-3211 or go online at sdfatloss.com. That's sdfatloss.com.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
It's never been easier to stay in touch with 97.3 The Fan. You can watch your favorite fan talk shows on YouTube from sunup to sundown. Just search for 97.3 The Fan and watch San Diego's #1 sports station. KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Manny Machado from the San Diego Padres.
Machado with his second double in as many innings.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan and Odyssey Sports Station.
On a Thursday, talking Padres baseball with you. Thanks again for making our day a part of yours. We're on every day from 10 to 2, 97.3 The Fan after Ben and Woods and before Gwen and Chris. Gwen and Chris coming up at the 2 o'clock hour. Full show for Gwen and Chris. And then at 5 o'clock, it will be the re-airing of the roundtable, which we did in the 10 o'clock hour. A lot of good talking points on the roundtable today. But not too much to talk about when it comes to the team because they're doing so well. Not to say you can only talk about bad things on the radio and only point out all the flaws, but a lot of the talking points, even during the roundtable, seemed ridiculous at times just because of how good the Padres have been. They have done an excellent job all year long, and it's only 19 games. But so far this year, they have gotten the pitching. They have gotten the production out of players at a high level. They have got a high team batting average. In fact, the Padres, and this was pointed out by Dennis Lin in a recent article, they have 5 key stats behind their early success. Some are individual and some are team. And I have the 5 stats that he mentions, and he goes into full detail. Again, if you want to check out his article, if you haven't done so already, it's on The Athletic. I know he helps and jumps on with Ben and Woods once a week now. But the Padres have kicked off the 2025 season with an impressive 15-4 start, matching their 1998 World Series run and joining elite company. 6 of the last 8 teams to start 15-4 went on to reach the postseason. I mean, mathematically, just going through it, they have put themselves in a really good position. They have room for error, and they're going to play some really tough teams coming up in the month of June. We talked about that, and I'll get you the schedule out again. That's their first big stretch of the season, at least in my opinion. Who knows what happens? Baseball is baseball. It's a crazy thing. I mean, the next 2 weeks, it's 3 in Houston, 3 in Detroit, off day, 3 at home against Tampa, off day, Tuesday, Wednesday against San Francisco, off day, and then on the road again to start off the month of May. They go to Pittsburgh. Month of May, not a lot of world beaters in that list. They'll go to Pittsburgh. They'll go to New York to take on the Yankees. And aside from the Yankees matchup, we'll see what the Angels are like, but most of the month of May is against teams that are not off to great starts. It's when you get around to June. You get your first big stretch, and your second big stretch is in August. And hopefully that by that point, you're so far in the lead in terms of a playoff spot, you don't have to go through an entire gauntlet in the month of August feeling like you have to win every single game. And they're not going to win every single game. I mean, taking 2 out of 3 from the Cubs is huge. Splitting with them on the season is huge. But they are they are off to their best start since 1998 when they met within the 1998 team ended up going to the World Series. They went 15-4. Last 8 teams to go 15-4. 6 of them ended up making the postseason. Here are the 5 stats that are laid out in Dennis Lin's article about why the Padres have had early success. I think you have to start with Fernando. I think this team really starts and finishes with Fernando. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 11.3 strikeout rate. Tatis has cut his strikeout rate in half while maintaining power numbers, a 646 slug, and 6 home runs. His improved plate discipline and 2-strike approach have helped him become an early MVP candidate. I think he, right now, with the way that he has kept his strikeout rate low, has put him in a position to rival who is usually and going to be the perennial favorite as an MVP in Shohei Ohtani. Fernando's not swinging out of the zone on insane pitches. He's not going up there trying to do too much. He's not trying to hit a 5-6 run home run every time he's up there. He's really laying off that slider low and away. He's working the count. He's doing a good job of being a leadoff hitter. I mean, the couple of big concerns that Padres fans had about him batting leadoff, and I still think, and I've been saying he should have been batting leadoff every year for the last 3 or 4 years, is he doesn't walk enough and he strikes out too much to be a leadoff guy. Well, he's cut the strikeouts down. In fact, he even walked to the bases loaded yesterday. That's not something that he's done in the past. I mean, he usually tries to go up there and hunt and go get his when it's time to get his. That's where the Padres run into a lot of problems, is when they got guys up there taking selfish at-bats. And this season, you're not seeing a lot of selfish at-bats. And everybody on the team has taken them in years past, and it's not an individual thing. That was just the state of the Padres, and what they have done offensively now has been fantastic. Victor Rodriguez has been great as the hitting coach. And speaking of hitting coaches, the Rockies just got rid of their hitting coach. We'll see if it makes a difference. I don't know. They scored 6 runs last night. Hit a grand slam. Seemed like the best offensive production the Rockies have had the last couple of weeks. But their approaches at the plate have been great, and the big key is starting it off with the leadoff position in Fernando with his 11.3% strikeout rate. Way more plate discipline. If he continues to have this plate discipline, guys are going to have to pitch more in the zone to try to get him out. And when you miss in the zone, it misses over the heart of the plate. And what happens when Fernando gets a pitch over the heart of the plate? We all know the answer. It gets deposited in the left field bleachers. One of the 5 key stats for the Padres this season behind their early success, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 11.3 strikeout rate. 11.3 percentage strikeout rate. Number 2 is the home ERA. Padres pitchers have dominated at Petco Park, tossing 6 shutout innings, or 6 shutouts in 10 home games. Padres with 10 home games, in 10 home games, had 6 shutouts, which is a Major League Baseball record. Newcomer Nick Pivetta and Michael King, who's not a newcomer, lead a deep staff under pitching coach Ruben Niebla. Nick Pivetta's ERA at home is a 0.45, and Michael King's ERA at home is a 1.62. Padres pitching has been dominant at Petco Park. And we always knew, Petco Park's always been a pitcher's park. It's always been a place that pitchers dominate and do very well. That's why the Padres have always been able to, turn pitchers around. But the shutouts at home is remarkable, and that has led to an overall, run differential of plus 37, and the Padres allowing the fewest runs in baseball with 51. The next on the list is the New York Mets, and they've played 1 less game than the Padres have had. 51 total runs allowed. That's the lowest in Major League Baseball. A plus 37 run differential. Really remarkable. But the ERA at home has been absolutely fantastic. Continuing to have a dominant pitching staff at home. And that's just it is the bullpen and the starters too. But that it's pretty remarkable. Manny Machado, 6 stolen bases. Yeah, Dennis Lin put out the 5 key stats behind their early success for the San Diego Padres. 6 stolen bases for Manny Machado is pretty impressive. But it's not more of Manny deciding to take more bags. It's more of the aggressive nature that the Padres are playing by. Machado and the Padres have emphasized speed, ranking 4th in Major League Baseball with 24 steals, have only been caught 3 times. Tatis also has 6 stolen bases, and 7 other players have contributed at least 1. I mean, you're seeing a lot of guys swipe bags that aren't used to swiping bags. For everybody getting upset about like Manny Machado not hustling sometimes, which is a tired act of a complaint, the guy's got 6 stolen bases. And if Manny's stealing bases, that means the team initiative is to swipe as many bags as possible. I mean, the extra inning game on Tuesday against Chicago, Iglesias swiped 3rd. I mean, he's an older player for the San Diego Padres. And with 1 out in extra innings, he tried to get himself into position to put himself 90 feet away from potentially tying the game. A very risky attempt to steal 3rd base. And I think that was an aggressive play, not a stupid play. And there is a difference. But that aggressive nature continuing to play for the San Diego Padres, and you look at Manny Machado having 6 stolen bases, that tells me that the Padres are swiping bags. And they're going to be aggressive. The Padres' aggressive nature, another key factor in why they're 15-4 to start the year. Yuki Matsui's strikeout rate is number 4 on Dennis Lin's list. Yuki Matsui's got a 50% strikeout rate. 5'8" relievers helping stabilize the bullpen, which leads Major League Baseball with a 1.52 ERA. Matsui, Estrada, and Pivetta all ranked top 6 in vertical break on their fastballs. Matsui getting some swing and miss stuff. 50% strikeout rate out of one of the pitchers that is not supposed to be one of those high leverage guys. You know who the high leverage guys are on the team because they've gone out there and pitched in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning in meaningful games. Suarez has the 9th. Adam has the 8th. Estrada has the 7th. And you got other bullpen arms that are doing a good job. And that's before you even start talking about Reynolds and you start talking about Brian Hoeing that are expected to be back. I mean, you're going to get 2 major upgrades to the bullpen before even the trade deadline, and that's just from your own team. That's how good the bullpen has been. But Yuki Matsui, more wipeout stuff. 50% strikeout rate. And then the final stat that Dennis Lin put out there, and the 5 key stats behind their early success, is the team's batting average in general, which is really picking up from last year. 274 team batting average. Padres' contact-first offense continues from 2024, now 2nd in Major League Baseball in batting average and on-base percentage and 7th in slugging. Offensively, the guys are putting the ball in play, which means, as Jackson Merrill said, applying pressure. We don't feel pressure, we apply pressure. And when you put the ball in play and you're making contact, you make other teams have to make plays. It leads to big innings for the San Diego Padres, and we've seen that already. It's a blend of plate discipline. It's a blend of elite pitching. It's a blend of speed that has given the Padres the best record in baseball and possibly the foundation for a deep playoff run. They're doing it in every way. They're doing it with the aggressive nature on the base pass. They're doing it with their starting staff. They're doing it with their bullpen. They're doing it with the high contact rate from their batters. They're doing it with some power numbers. I mean, across the board in every facet of the game, they are winning. And that's why they are off to a 15-4 start. And that is why I believe they are going to be able to continue this start and continue it into the regular season. They got a couple of big stretches coming up. We'll talk about those when we come back, but you got to love what you see out of the Padres. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. How we feeling on a Padres off day? Your Padres are 15-4 and the best team in Major League Baseball. Did anybody think they were going to get off to this such a great start? I think you'd be lying. There's only one guy in the chat that I think wouldn't be. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to TrueGreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Come on in to Total Wine & More. Prices just as low as a club store. Spirits, wine, beer, and no membership needed. With savings so big, no club store can beat it. From mixing cocktails to a friendly get-together, Total Wine has everything you need and more. With the lowest prices and best selection for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Hey, it's Ben Higgins here to talk about a scary word, probate. That's what happens when you pass away without leaving a plan and the state decides how to handle your assets, tying everything up for months or longer in an expensive process that could also mean a huge extra tax bill. The good news? You can skip probate entirely by setting up a simple online plan with Trust and Will, so your family gets immediate access to your estate. No courts. It's easy, affordable, and you can do it all online. Just visit trustandwill.com and use code FAN to get a 20% discount at trustandwill.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
College holds a mythic place in American culture, but there are stories you won't hear on the campus tours.
The higher-ups are concerned about one thing, and that is avoiding scandal.
I'm Margot Gray. On the new podcast, Campus Files, we cover everything from rigged admissions to the drama of Greek life and student protests. Listen to and follow Campus Files, an Odyssey original podcast, available now on the free Odyssey app. and wherever you get your podcasts.
Friar Faithful, we've got you covered every Thursday at 10 a.m. when the fan staff comes together in our weekly Padres Roundtable, delivered by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable Pizza, it's pizza royalty.
Stop banging away on my kaleidoscope. Stop draining the color out of my scene. Just play me something I can dance to.
Tina, the Braden Surprenant Show. Padres off day today, but they're the best team in baseball record-wise, 15-4 on the season. Really appreciate all of you joining us today. Braden Surprenant Show each and every day from 10 to 2. Thursdays, we have the roundtable from 10 to 11. Another great roundtable today with Ben Higgins, Chris Ello, myself, Paul Reindl, Matt Scraby, Steve Woods, all joining the roundtable. If you missed the airing of it, you can go back and listen to it in podcast form on wherever you get your podcasts at 97 Through the Fan SD. You can also rewatch it on YouTube, and it's going to re-air at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, you're driving around town, you can hear the roundtable on 97.3 The Fan. Talking Padres baseball. If you want to join the conversation, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Mesa, Arizona. Hopefully it's not. Actually, Arizona is usually nice in the springtime. Trey in Mesa. What do you got for me, Trey?
Hi, how's it going, Braden?
Going well.
I just want to get, as a whole, this staff has been fantastic, but specifically, I want to give a little bit of love to David Macias. He's been the outfield defensive coach and the first base coach, as everyone, as I'm sure, knows. And every player that's been plugged in that outfield has gone off pretty much without a hitch. And I think that's a lot of credit to him. And the Padres have been lethal on the base pass, and he's a base coach. And I think he's just been a huge addition to this staff as a whole.
Well, I appreciate the phone call, Trey. A little shout out to Macias at first base. I mean, I think the staff being together again for another year goes a long way. We talked about that a little bit on the roundtable. I think, and Ben asked the question, what is something that we overlooked with this team as to why they're 15-4? And we just laid out some of the stats that Dennis Lin put together of why the team's 15-4. But overall, when you look at this Padres team, and you look at it from a perspective of early in the season, right? Spring training. I think a lot of people had the team around 80-something wins, up to the overzealous people at 90-something, which is now looking a lot better. And the question was hey, maybe third place. Hopefully they get the last wild card spot. And I'm not saying, things are drastically changed now. It's division or bust, and the Padres are the best team in baseball and all that other stuff. It's 19 games in the year. And I think the Padres, I think a lot of fans knew that with the core group of players that they had coming back, they would be a good baseball team. Not necessarily a great baseball team, but a good baseball team. I don't think a lot of people really thought the Padres, 20 games into the season, as they will play game number 20 tomorrow, would be the best team in Major League Baseball. I don't think a lot of people really said that. I think if you were a betting man, you'd probably put all your money on the Dodgers to do that. Be the easiest bet in the world, I think, for most people, if you propose that question in January. But the Padres right now have the best record in baseball. Well, how did we not see this coming? What did we miss with this team? A lot of things are going right. They're getting the ball to bounce their way a little bit. A lot of the times that the ball didn't bounce their way last year at the beginning of the season, it's bouncing their way this year. I think when you look at, the stats that we brought up, underestimate, Fernando Tatis Jr. is having an MVP level season. You can never expect one of your players to have an MVP type season. You will take it, obviously. I think that increases your opportunities to win a World Series. More so increase your opportunity to have a higher win total. But you look at other aspects of this team, you got Fernando having an MVP type year. Before Jackson Merrill got hurt, he was kind of having an MVP type season. Starting staff has been excellent. Bullpen has been lights out. And even some guys in the bottom of the order, albeit that they're not producing probably to a level that's sustainable, or more to a sense of producing at a level that they're going to be able to, they're not producing at a level that you need them to produce at to be a World Series caliber team. But they're contributing in different ways. I mean, everybody on this team has contributed to at least one win this season. So you're getting contributions from everybody in the lineup, great bullpen, great starting pitching, aggressiveness on the base pass, grinding out at bat. I mean, they're doing everything right so far. But the thing that I think is the most undervalued or overlooked, and I was preaching this for a while leading up to the start of the season and when the season started, was the continuity and consistency of having the same players in there all the time and having the camaraderie of knowing who's next to you when you look to your left and knowing who's next to you when you look to the right and knowing what they bring and knowing and that kind of level of trust. I mean, baseball is an interesting game. It is an individual sport in a team setting. I mean, it is individual. That's why, baseball is the only sport where you can make major trades at the deadline and plug in place, and you can throw guys out there. You can have an all-star game where, you don't have to practice at all. You can trade for a player and immediately have him play the next day, and he's up to speed on mostly everything they do. Because aside from maybe a couple of instances where they need to know what's going on in terms of a play, it's just you versus the other guy during the game. It's the batter versus the pitcher. I mean, he's not doing that as a team. That's a individual effort. And so when you have a sport like baseball, it's a lot of individual efforts. A lot of the teams that have success are the ones that have played with each other for a long time. You see that in a lot of different levels of baseball. You see that with, teams at the college level that have had a core group of players play as freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Those teams usually do really well and make it to Omaha. You see that in high school with teams that have done that. I mean, if you look at the Little League World Series, everybody's got a special rule or a secret to why they're there. Some of it's they don't actually live in that neighborhood. I mean, every team in the Little League World Series has a secret. And a lot of the times the secret is those 12 kids played on the same team throughout the offseason in travel ball. They're all the same travel ball team. They played on the same team for 3 or 4 or 5 years. That goes a long way. And when you went into the offseason and the Padres didn't make any additions, and you look at it and everybody always wants the brand new shiny toy, the Padres are like, we got a really good team right here. And that's the case for every team. As the offseason progressed, the media is always like, well, they didn't add anything, and they lost these guys. But to me, the only way it would have been a situation where the Padres would have been in trouble is if they lost one of their core players, one of their guys that they have signed long term. They've created the core. They know what to expect from each other. They've established what they want as an organization from a clubhouse perspective. And they're going out there and they're just playing baseball every day. And the new players don't have to try to teach anybody how to do things. They don't have to try to incorporate what they learned in other organizations. They just get the message from the top. The leaders of the team, they're bought in because of the success the Padres have had. They understand the coaching is legit, obviously, with their continuity and consistency. The track records speak for themselves from an offensive and pitching standpoint. And that's why you can add fringe players or players on the edges to your core and not even miss a beat from last year. That's why this is sustainable. That's why I think this is going to be sustainable for a couple of years. You know what? The window, even though we might have mentioned in the offseason it might been starting to close, I don't think it's really starting to close. I think the window's still open for a while now. And what you do with that window is you play in the present. And you don't play for the future. You play for the present. And the 2016 Cubs show why you do that. I'll explain next on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben Woods on The Fan.
Coming up on a Friar Friday, we'll check in with manager Mike Schilt from Houston at 9:05, plus talk SDFC with Darren Smith.
Listen to Ben and Woods weekdays from 6 to 10 on 97.3 The Fan.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At SDFatLoss.com, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally, and safely with no drugs or injections. No prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, or exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can lose weight quickly and keep the weight off for good with an easy-to-follow maintenance plan that includes ongoing personal support. And our program costs half as much and works up to twice as fast than most other programs. Go to SDFatLoss.com to schedule your free consultation now.
Hey, it's Ben Higgins. Spring is here, and this is the perfect time to achieve your weight loss goals. Take advantage now. Get $200 off at SDFatLoss.com on the program that helped me lose 40 pounds in 60 days and keep the weight off. It'll change your life.
Many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation now at SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com. Results may vary.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that there are lots of things that can make your engine light come on, besides your engine. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's technicians are specially trained to diagnose what's causing your engine light to come on and fix it, no matter what it is. Keep your eyes on the road and your ears open for another episode of AMCO's Bet You Didn't Know.
AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free. Restrictions, limitations, and exclusions may apply. See AMCO.com for complete details.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy. A full home repipe can cost you $24,000, or you can call EcoWater SoCal. Protect your pipes with smarter water. Call 760-350-3338 or visit EcoWaterSoCal.com. Not everything in life should be hard, especially your water. Keeping it soft since 1925.
San Diego to Tijuana, bus leaving in 3 minutes.
Hey, how are you, babe?
Hi, I'm good, but I wish you were here in Tijuana.
I know, I wish you were here in San Diego. Hey, I just sent you a song.
I love it, but it made me miss you even more.
Next stop, Tijuana Central Bus Terminal.
Hey, go outside.
Wait, why? What? What are you doing here?
Surprise.
With AT&T, use your plan in Mexico like in the 619. 2 countries, 1 network. Only with AT&T. Available for U.S. customers. Requires eligible plan. Additional speed, coverage, and other restrictions apply. Visit att.com/one network for details.
Injured? Do you need help? Call the Barnes Firm now. 1-800-8-million.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. The baseball season is underway as we continue to see the teams separate themselves from the rest. Texas has had a resurgence, returning to form after winning it all in 2023. They will be tested in an early season series against Los Angeles. Will Texas be able to wrangle a couple of wins in the series? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130
Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show on a Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow. Get ready for Padres baseball. They're playing the Astros tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. And we'll be Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday for Padres and Stros. So I'll be back on ESPN, but you can listen to the games right here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. I was listening to the game on the Odyssey app yesterday when we had a great day out cleaning up the beach at Fiesta Island. Good company day for us. And the Odyssey app works all over the place in San Diego. Download the Odyssey app today. But that being said, I tease going into break. And if you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. About the cautionary tale of the 2016 World Series champion Chicago Cubs. An organization that very similar to the Padres in a sense that they hadn't won in a long time. I mean, the Padres have never won. The Padres are one of 5 teams that have never won a World Series. Can you name those 5 teams? Adam Klug just did off air. 5 teams that have never won a World Series. The Padres, the Rockies, the Rays, the Mariners, and the Milwaukee Brewers. Everybody else in Major League Baseball has won a World Series. There's 30 teams. 5 of them have not. So when you do win a World Series, there's this sentiment of gratitude that it happened. You know, we were all born in Boston, Massachusetts, where they had like 100 parades for championships since like 2000. But for teams like the Brewers, the Padres, the Mariners, the Rockies, and the Rays, just trying to get that one has been a very difficult task. And so you must be grateful when those days happen. Matt Snyder of CBSSports.com, who joined us yesterday, put this article out. He is a Cubs fan. And he's talking about like how grateful he was for the Cubs to go out there and go for it all in 2016 to try to win a World Series for the first time in over 100 years. For the lovable losers from Wrigley. And what was about that was obviously like they had a young core group of players where they didn't want to potentially part ways with some of the guys in order to go after and get a World Series win because they wanted to keep everybody together. And so we had that conversation again last year during the trade deadline about why, the Padres have to earn their way to have pieces added because you're so worried about the future. But the reality is the future and tomorrow is not guaranteed. Look at the Chicago Cubs. 2016, they had Anthony Rizzo at age 26. Finished 4th in MVP voting for the 2nd straight season. They had Chris Bryant, who was only 24, and won the NL MVP in his 2nd season. Addison Russell was 22. He hit 21 homers and drove in 95 runs while playing superb defense at shortstop. He also had several clutch home runs in the playoffs that year. Javi Baez, 23, and posted a 2.7 WAR as a part-time utility man, flashing above-average defense, power, and base running skills. Jorge Soler was only 24 and had monster power upside. Kyle Schwarber, 23, and though he missed nearly all the regular season due to a torn ACL, he had already shown his talent as a significant difference maker in the lineup. Wilson Contreras only played in 76 games as a 24-year-old rookie, but he posted a 122 OPS plus and a 1.7 WAR. Albert Almora was a bench player, but he was only 22 and appeared to have nice upside to the point that he was once considered a top 20 prospect in baseball. And though he had already gotten a $184 million payday in free agency, Jason Hayward, current Padre, was only 26 years old in 2016. You look at that group and the upside that it had, knowing they were coming off a World Series championship, you would probably believe they were about to win multiple World Series championships, or at least just get to another World Series. Which must be noted, as Matt Snyder notes, The Cubs traded hotshot prospect Gleyber Torres as part of a package to land a few months of closer Aroldis Chapman, who had plenty of baggage at that time in his career. The other major prospect the Cubs had in the minors when they dealt Torres was Eloy Jimenez, was a part of the Cubs organization. Message from the front office was that Torres and Chapman deal was pretty simple. We're doing whatever we can to win the World Series this year because we might not ever get the chance again. As it turns out, they did win the World Series, and they did not get another great chance to win a World Series. Most of the group saw a massive downturn in the ensuing years. Cubs advanced to the NLCS in 2017 and won 95 games in 2018, though that was only good enough to make it to the wild card game, which they lost. They missed the playoffs in 2019, and the team was dismantled by the 2021 trade deadline. Let's look at what's happened since. Rizzo combined for an 88 OPS plus in 191 games in 2023 and 2024. Still looking for a job in 2025, and he might be done at age 35. Chris Bryant has a degenerative back disease. He hasn't been able to escape injury for a while. He signed a 7-year, $182 million deal with the Rockies before the 2022 season, and he's only played in 170 games for them, hitting .244 with a .324 on base and a .370 slug. That's an 84 OPS plus. Addison Russell immediately went downhill after 2016, and the domestic violence suspension really sped things along when it came to the end of his Major League Baseball career. His last MLB game came when he was 25 years old. Javier Baez has a 6-year, $140 million contract with the Detroit Tigers, and he's either a bench player or a part-time starter, depending upon how you define such things. He's 32 and has one of the most untradeable contracts in baseball. Jorge Soler found his footing as a big-time power hitter with the Royals in 2019, his third year away from the Cubs. He had a very inconsistent career, but the highs have been pretty high with the Cubs, though they were few and far between. Kyle Schwarber was released by the Cubs after 2020. He's since thrived as one of the better pure power hitters in baseball, averaging about 46 homers for every 162 games post-Chicago. Wilson Contreras was good with the Cubs for several years after 2016, much like Bryant, Rizzo, Schwarber, and Baez. He's now been moved to first base by the Cardinals, and the smart money is on him never making the All-Star team again. Albert Almora never panned out. He topped out at a 2.2 WAR in 2018, ended up with a career 80 OPS plus. He's still with the Marlins organization in AAA, but he hasn't played in the majors since 22 when he was 28. Jason Hayward posted a 9.1 WAR in his 7 seasons with the Cubs, who released him before the 8th year of his contract. He's now in his 3rd team in 3 years since. It's kind of remarkable how that group, and those are all way younger players than what the Padres have. Padres have a 26-year-old Fernando Tatis Jr., and they do have guys like Jackson Merrill, who is 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and then some of the guys coming up. But again, the majority of their core are in their 30s. And that young group of players, all in their prime, it's honestly remarkable how things have come crumbling down for the Cubs to this point. Although it's starting to pick back up again. Matt Snyder goes on to say he thinks it's fair to say only Baez and Contreras didn't disappoint from the end of the 2016 season until their time with the Cubs came to an end. You can nitpick Bryant, Rizzo, and Schwarber maybe, but Rizzo certainly maxed out in 2016. And given their ages, surely most people at the time thought there were more coming than we ended up seeing from them. Is there any team that feels like it's similar situation in recent years? They point out the Baltimore Orioles. The 2023 to present Orioles come to mind, as they often do. They did trade a prospect package for 1 year of Corbin Burns, and that move was great. Didn't yield a title, but there's strong argument that they should have been more aggressive in loading up on short-term pitching fixes. The broader point of this conversation is, especially in Major League Baseball, success as a team is incredibly hard to come by, and even when it looks like it might be an extended run of greatness, you never know what's happening. You never know what's going to happen in the future. More front offices should err on the side of trying to win immediately rather than clinging to hope that the farm system is the savior 5 years down the road. I'm saying that a little bit early now. This is kind of a trade deadline conversation for the Padres. But this is exactly why I said you got to play for the present last season at the trade deadline. Is you had to go after it when you have an opportunity. That's why you go out there and make those moves at the deadline to improve your roster, even though it seems like we're not all the way there. Well, anytime you have success and you're competing for a World Series, you have to focus on that present year because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, things can happen. Injuries can happen to a lot of your core players. The production can go way down. And then all of a sudden, what you thought was going to be great years in the future didn't pan out and it didn't work. And then you're kicking yourself for not trying that one season when you had probably the best chance and you didn't even know it was your best chance. It's that whole like living in the present conversation, right? Like growing up, playing wiffle ball in the backyard with your friends as a kid, or whatever you would do as kids with your group of friends. It could be your high school friends, your college friends. There was a point that was the last time you were going to do that, and nobody there had any idea. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But the same thing could be said about the Padres and their opportunities to win a World Series. I mean, maybe if this continues to go on the road, maybe last year was the best year they had to win a World Series. Maybe this year is their best chance in the next decade to win a World Series because of everything going on and who knows what the future holds. So when you look at it from that perspective, you have to understand that you have to go for it. Every opportunity that you have, that you are given year to year, you have to live in the present. I think you could apply that to life in general. And I think that's a big reason why last year it stung really bad for Padres fans because they knew they were close. And again, the future is not guaranteed. Looking at some of the contracts, but of the offseason where the money was, enjoy this while you can. I mean, this is a great time to be a Padres fan. And it's hard to be negative about the team. I'm sure they got some flaws mixed in there. What team doesn't? But you got to be living and playing in the present. And you want your organization to be battling for right now. And especially with the start the Padres have, I don't think you need to add a major key or major player at the deadline. But when the deadline comes around and you need a left fielder and you need maybe a pitcher or two, you want to go after it and make a play for the playoffs and make a play to try to win a World Series because you don't know if the next year is going to be just as good of an opportunity. Padres might have gotten lucky and have turned 2025 into a better year than 2024, but it's only 19 games in. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kenny in San Diego. Kenny, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
All right. I got the fix for what you're talking about. Well, they make so much money, they don't have what they need, do they? And what is that? Is to prevent themselves from changing in a way that it's not favorable. Once you start making all that money, you change a little bit, don't you?
I don't really know what you're talking about, Kenny.
If I started giving you millions of dollars, you'd change your whole thing.
So are you saying from the Padres perspective, or are you saying from like an individual perspective?
Let's just say I'm pretty much an expert on mechanics and the kinesthetic part. And the fact that you're able to take like a Tony Gwynn swing and use it for many years is you have to establish what you're doing and keep doing it. And then obviously if you can reach potential and keep reaching more potential, the money will just keep coming, but you'll get that World Series you're looking for. I've been watching the Padres for quite a few years. So we come through the 90s and watch all the changes, like with all the bats and everything changing in the college world and in the amateur world. we're still swinging wood bats in the majors. And there's a lot of things that attribute to this, but what it really comes down to is it's all pretty simple. And it's not going to be a bunch of people that have it. What? It's the fact that you can identify what their potential is. Are you able to do that? I mean, you're in a professional world, but it's a little bit unobtainable in the fact that if you can't identify what they're doing to get where they're at in the first place, and then appreciate upon it with reaching potential, then what happens is what you're talking about is how they kind of just get erased off the map.
Well,
what I have will put the Padres in the World Series.
Yeah, Ken, I appreciate the phone call, man. I'm trying to pick up what you're talking about, but he's talking about continuing the process and eventually you'll get to the to where you want to be. What I'm talking about is just when you have. I was trying to figure out what he was saying. It just wasn't. I mean, I love that he was picking up what I was putting down a second ago, but I just didn't get it too much. The chat's getting crazy. Is it Friday or Thursday? What day is it after this point? But I get a little bit what he's saying. It's coming across as a little bit slower than I think some people out there were listening to. Would like, yeah. So anyway, when you get to the point of being able to get after it, when you know you have a good team, you shouldn't be held back because you don't know what the future is going to be. And that was the big story about the 2016 Chicago Cubs at this point in time. I need money. Must be 5:00 in East County. That was a wild phone call. I don't know where he was going with that, but we appreciate the phone calls. Anthony in the chat goes, dude is playing 5G chess. We're all playing checkers. Oh, man. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant show on San Diego Sports. On the number one sports station in San Diego, 97.3 The Fan. That really threw me off for a little bit. I was trying to figure out what he was talking about.
I don't know where to go from here.
I don't know.
I think we shouldn't pay professional athletes. They should just play for free or for love of the game.
Is that what he was talking about? I was trying to figure out what he's talking about.
I don't think free, but I think he's saying basically, you get paid all this money and you lose your passion and your work ethic, maybe.
Well, he was saying, I mean, I think that's what he's trying to say at the beginning, and then he was like, "Well, I'm a big mechanics guy."
Maybe get rid of guaranteed contracts.
And then he was like, I'm a big mechanics guy. And he's breaking down Tony Gwynn's swing and then the bats and baseball and college baseball. And I'm reading the chat at the same time. And I was just like, I don't know what he's talking about. What just happened? I don't know what just happened.
I don't even know where to go from here. Like, talk about killing your train of thought. Like,
I mean, it's just like, what is he talking about? Did I get too deep? Did I make, can he get to a point where it's too deep? Are you screening these guys? What's going on? Oh, man. Next caller.
Oh, now you're blaming the phone screener.
No, that's what people in the chat like to do. The message about the 2016 Cubs is you want to go out. You want to go. He was asleep talking. You want to be able to make moves while you can do them because you don't know if you're going to be able to do those in the future. And that was the message. And then Kenny kind of threw us off the show. Richard in Hillcrest saved the show. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Mine got blown a little bit, but I'm trying to piece it back together.
Listen, I think you're absolutely right about going for it this year. We're off to a great start. You got to keep the momentum going. By the trading deadline, if there's players available that can help this team, I think you've got to make the investment. It shows you have confidence in the team. You just want to add another piece to it. You can get them to the World Series. I think it's a great perspective you're taking.
Yeah, and that's, Matt Snyder kind of alluded to it, and I totally agree with what he said, and I was trying to preach that last year. But, Richard, I appreciate the phone call. But when you look at that was like the whole point of the trade deadline last year. People wanted to hang on to, top players. I mean, to me, and I don't think the Padres should trade Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries. But I will say this, If you you can't phrase it as that player for this player and worried about the future. The way you got to phrase it when you make a decision like that is, if we bring in this player, do we win a World Series? Which is not a guarantee either. But would you exchange Leo DeVries or Ethan Salas in a trade to win a World Series? That's the question. Are you willing to part ways for a guaranteed World Series, even though you don't know if it's guaranteed? 50-50 chance at a World Series? What percentage? That's kind of where we're at with that particular conversation. We got to take a break for the day, and we'll be back with more coverage tomorrow. What a way to end the show. Quinn and Chris coming up next. 97 through the Fan.